Yeah, it's your boy Hakeem Green, Channel Live and direct, BDP all day, every day. Baby, pass the ism, I'm saying. I had to get that off before I bring Wes on.
Yeah.
All right, now I'm chill. You see how I go down, right? You know, I be amped. I be like, yo, get a little puff. Be like, all right, I'm cool.
Let me fix my camera here.
Because all we do is spark madism. That's all we do. It's madism sports.
You don't want to choke on it.
You know, hey, man, shit. Hey. So listen, you know, we got a big show today. You know, it's NBA Finals. It's 2-2. You know, it's 2-2. It's getting real in the field out there, Wes.
It's getting real.
So we got to talk about some things. It's also getting fugazi, too. So we're going to discuss all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but before getting to all that, we got a very special guest in the building this week. You know, it's like a family tradition. Definitely a Jersey tradition going on IZM Sports. But a couple weeks ago, we had, you know, our brother BRANDIN KNIGHT on. This week, we're going to step it up. Got BRANDIN KNIGHT in the building. You know what I mean? He's in the queue waiting. So we're going to do how we do every week. I'm going to throw something up, give us a chance to share the stream to our, you know, potential viewers. Like, subscribe, do all those wonderful things. And we're going to get it cracking and bring the homie BRANDIN KNIGHT into the IZM Sports world. So
Yes,
let's do it this way. Let's give them something visual they can check out.
Social distancing and other mitigation measures they've put in place. The president's been itching to begin easing the nationwide guidelines meant to stem the outbreak and contain the economic fallout. Well, the weekly jobless numbers are out, and they are a staggering show of the early impact of the new coronavirus on the economy. Around 3.3 million people filed for unemployment in the past week, far exceeding the previous record from 1982.
This goes out that I will use my right for the right all my smokers, my dabblers, that I'll choose my papers for the right to be free. Set up that hookah. Like it's 420.
Madism in effect, hip-hop changed the game. Everybody smoke good, my grower changed the strain. I used to smoke for the thrill, now I do it for the pain. I stay pushing weight, I do it for the gains. It's like a revolution, Prince with purple rain. Purple kush, purple haze, like cheese in a maze. So I put lights in the tunnel, LEDs supply the rays. All we do is spark madism, that shit is all the craze. Remember back in the days, trade bags of haze from the corner bodega. Poppy put it in some lays. It was rhymes in a cipher with blunts in the air. Then off with a shorty, couch locked in a chair. My shorty look exotic, weed kinda rare. She said the weed was erotic with smoke in the hair. It makes the time go by, life without a care. So roll it up, light it up, put it in the air.
I believe in happy faces, yes, this is true. Love is just for special people, yes, just like you. If you're reaching for the stars, you know you can do anything you want to if you just get into. Then I believe that I will use my right for the right to be me. I believe that I'll choose this fight for the right to be free. I believe I'll treat tonight like it's 420.
Yo. I get Reddit and Redman when it's time to Johnny Blaze. I get pounds from Sugar Hill, I get dimes from Sugar Rays. I keep the aromatic, it's a passion, not a habit. Akeem go with green, it's like carrots go with rabbits. It's so automatic how the weed gets lit. Duplicate the seed, clones get clipped. Hawk, what you puffin' on? I know that ain't the piff. Wedding cake and gelato, wanna lick? I got flavors, pump flavors, they call me Flavor Flav. Gorilla Glue number 4, and Super Haze. Afghani in the cough, sour diesel gets me off. I'm looking for a rental property, something like a loft, so I can grow these trees just in time for Christmas. Saint Nick with the gift list, I know you wanna hit this. Look for madism when it's time to light a flare, then roll it up, light it up, put it in the air.
I believe faces. Yes, this is true. Love is just for special people. Yes, just like you. If you're reaching for the stars, you know you can do anything you want to if you just get into the groove. I believe that I will use my right for the right to be me. I believe that I'll choose this fight for the right to be free. I believe I'll treat tonight like it's 420. Like it's 420. Oh, 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 oh. Yes, this is true.
What really stands out to many are the one-time direct payments from the government. The Trump administration says they hope to start rolling them out in 3 weeks. The payments are based on your latest tax filing. Individuals who earn $75,000 or less will get $1,200.
Yes. That, ladies and gentlemen, was, I believe, Put in the Air by Hakeem Green featuring Carl Thomas, produced by DJ Heron. Big shout out to Shock B for help with the video. And that's what that is, ladies and gentlemen. You can go cop that off the album Madism, Who Wants to Smoke, featuring all your favorite 90s hip-hop artists plus more. Go support. We talking about that weed, Madism. But today on Madism Sports, we got somebody from the home team, day one, laying it down right now at Wes's alma mater. You know what I mean?
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Hey, look at you. So, let's bring in our special guest, Seton Hall Pirate, Pittsburgh University Panther, Pitt Panthers, and now a Rutgers Scarlet Knight, Mr. Brandin Knight. What's up, brother?
What's going on, Hawk? Thanks for having me. Appreciate it.
Oh man, thanks for checking in with us, man. This is dope. We're trying to do something different, with this. Got this all this technology, streaming, Facebook, YouTube. We have all this access. Wes was like, yo, we need to do something. We had these conversations around sports like every day. We debate and arguing on the phone. But let's just, put it on live and let people tune in. So we created the Madism platform, Madism Sports platform, to do just that. And it's nice to have friends, who are well established in the sports world, the world of athletics. And it's just a pleasure to have you on, bro. Thank you.
No, thank you, man. But that other guy, he was on a couple weeks ago, man.
Yeah. It's a family thing, ladies and gentlemen. It's a little family competition back and forth. But but Brandin, this is about you, right? And what we like to do is set context for people, let people really know the guests that we have on our show, get to know the guests that we have on our show. So, I want you to talk about, your experiences coming up in the world of basketball, what turned you on, who put the batter in your back, what influenced you, and what drove you, in your younger years, junior high school, and so forth.
Well, I guess being a product of just a family that came to basketball, I tell people all the time now, it's like, basketball, this game has provided for me, my family, my brother's family, for our entire lives. So it's one of those things that we were kind of attached to since 1-2 years old. I didn't realize how much basketball I picked up just from going to Brevs games, watching all the time, basketball always being on TV, but just, following him around, trailing a lot of the guys. People don't realize how many guys from the East Orange area or just the Essex County area in general that were, I consider my big brothers, how successful they were with the game. So I grew up with not only having it in my house with my dad and my brother, but some of my older big brothers were guys who I could see, touch. I played on teams with them, so I was introduced to the game in a lot of different ways at an early age.
Was it like, would you say, out the womb, that's all you saw around the house? Because
for me, my dad, after my dad got done playing and coaching, it's funny, like our lives parallel each other so much. My dad got done playing. He had some injuries, which kind of forced him into coaching a little bit earlier. My brother and I, if you look at our college careers, they kind of paralleled each other. But from a standpoint of just always being immersed in the game, that was kind of just, that was our lives. Like, so I guess if you say like from out the womb, that I was one of those kids, and it was kind of, it never was forced on us at all. Like, this is the irony of it is my dad did very little basketball with us from a standpoint of like working out. Hey, you guys got to go to the gym. Like, he never was that guy. Like, his biggest thing was you got to be a great person. You got to do well in school. Like, those were the only things that mattered to him. Like, everything else that came with the basketball was just a plus. But for him, being assistant coach at Seton Hall University under Billy Raftery, being assistant athletic director, then going on to Essex County College and being the coach and athletic director there, like, basketball always provided for us. You know what I mean? So in that regard, we were always there. Brad was a ball boy. You know, I was always around it. So although I was always around it, like, no one ever forced me to play. Like, I just loved to be there. I always wanted to be older. So it was like all of the elders or the older guys that were around, there aren't many guys that could say, like, I grew up around 6 or 7 NBA players that were in the Essex County area, you know, from Eric Williams to Anthony Avent, you know what I mean? Ira Bowman, like, these were all guys who I saw. Brevin, you know, obviously who I lived with, like Marquise Bragg, you know, these were guys who were from East Orange, Newark, you know, that area. And it's like, I got to see them on a regular basis, you know. So I know these aren't some of the biggest names that you may know in the game, but for me, it was personal because I could actually see and tangibly touch, you know, and have guys that I could align myself and attach myself to the sport, you know, and just see the growth from it, you know.
Yeah. Now, it's one thing to have, you know, the love for the sport. You know, it's another thing to say, you know what, let me focus and put the work in to be better than the not even your brother, but just all the influence. Because, you know, we came up in East Orange, West came up in South Orange, you know, Brooklyn and South Orange. But, you know, we played in different parks around Essex County. But from a recreational standpoint, we were serious, but we wasn't serious.
See, I never looked at it like that. Like, I would bring any and everybody to my house to play 1-on-1, 2-on-2, like, so it didn't matter. Like, I was playing the game for the love. Like, whereas I heard Brev said, like, when he was talking, like, he just loved to go out and play. I kind of was a little bit similar to that. I didn't mind the preparation. I kind of started to get better at later on in life, but I just loved to play. As long as there was competition that was involved, like, I was down for it. So I played basketball. Like, the greatest thing that we had growing up was the rec leagues. So I played baseball. Like, I played football, you know, so every season I was doing something. So there was always some form of competition or some competitiveness going on. And that was what was allowed and what was afforded by us, by the community at the time. Those are things that obviously we don't see and they don't do enough of anymore. So there are no sports like that around for some of the youth. But just for us, we had recreation. That inspired us to play more, you know?
Yeah. Now, so coming behind Brev, going to Seton Hall, you know, talk about those years. Talk about like what the Seton Hall program, because, you know, Wes mentioned a few weeks ago, like, that program was, you know, this is a historic program, and the coach at the time, you know, was a, you know, legendary coach. You know, you guys were, you know, nationally, people were checking for Seton Hall at different points in my life. So that's like, you know, so talk about those years.
Well, see, like, I have a very different experience just with the whole high school thing, because for me, I got a chance to live through kind of Brev's experience vicariously. So I would see all the games. just the energy in the Essex County tournament, just the energy in state finals, all of those things. So growing up and being, 6 years behind him, like I got a chance to see Seton Hall building that to become that powerhouse. And I always mess with him because he says his teams were the best teams that played there. And I was like,
See, I was trying to save the competition between you and him, like for the end of the show, but you keep diving in.
I would have to go against that for a variety of reasons. Like the kids that went to Seton Hall at the time that went with me were all kids from East Orange. They were all kids that I personally recruited that played, that we grew up together. So, I mean, these were all kids that were from our neighborhood. And we had one other kid that was from Newark, kid from South Orange, Rob Sullivan, kid Tyrone Barley that was from Newark. And that was the major makeup of our team. But I told Brev, like, they had pieces. Like he said, we had individuals. We could just play and adapt with any style. So we were able to kind of embrace Coach Farrell's legendary, still to this day, Seton Hall Prep still continues to run the flex. And us, we were a team that was capable of doing that, but we brought something different. We were pressing, we were trapping, our game was played at a much different tempo than Brev and those guys played for the entire game. So I used to always mess with him, and I'm like, Brev, like I never lost a county game. I never, we won all of the state championships, and I won a TOC. So I hold that over his head. I tell him, I said, like, for that reason and just the competitive nature of it in itself, I said, that's why my team was better. We even convinced a few of their players, some of the players on his team to say it. So,
Wow.
That's that younger brother syndrome. See, I have two younger brothers. I'm the oldest, and I get the same old stories all the time too. So
now the funny thing though about that is like when I would go play places, people would chant like Brevin's better. Like
are you serious?
That's how fans are silly.
But listen, for me, like it would inspire me, but also too, like deep down inside, like I was so proud of my brother. I'm like, well, he's 6 years ahead of me. He's a 2-time All-American. He was, 16th pick of the draft. Everything I'm saying to myself, I'm like, they keep saying he's better. Like, yeah, I'm telling you, I know. Like, but him, I try to remind guys who have younger brothers not to do this. Brev used to always tell everybody, be better than me. And like for me, I was always trying to get to that level, but the reality of it was like I was so proud of my brother. Like I never looked at those things as insults. Like my two biggest idols in basketball were my brother and Omar Cooper. Were two of my biggest influences when it came to basketball. So that's how like I would embrace that. Like it never bothered me. Like so deep down inside, like as much as I was fighting to catch up, he was saying like, look, he's going to be better. He's going to be this. And like for me, I was just so proud of him for all of the people that said he couldn't make it. He was too small. All of the different obstacles that were in the way. Stanford's never going to be good. Like I would stand up 10:30, 11 o'clock at night just to watch those games and watch them build the program, watch them take that program, and to new levels of success. And for me, that made me most proud. So like there was a inner competition. Like for me, I said, I know what it felt like for him to lose a Tournament of Champions game or finals. I knew what it felt like for him to lose in the county tournament. So I took all of those experiences with me growing up, and like that was almost like my get back for him. So the county tournaments were some of my most memorable days and games as a player, just because of the energy in the building. You have everybody in Essex County rooting against us. So for me, it was like it was the biggest stage at that moment, at that time for me, and I just embraced.
But you went undefeated.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's
like
because
the county tournament kind of belonged to us for my last 3 years, and in my senior year, because it just every year would just get, my sophomore year was Shabazz. Then the following year we played Scott in the championship, which was that was the home team, and everybody called us traitors. Everybody said, we shouldn't have been at Seton Hall. It was like, well, technically, y'all really thought y'all were going to be better than us at that moment anyway. So we made sure we punished them too. And then my senior year, like, it was personal for me. My senior year, almost to the point where my dad, at the end of the first county game, my dad was like, "I'm not going to let you play for the rest of the season if you get another technical foul."
Oh, so you was hyped up.
It was chippy.
Yeah.
Because everybody wanted us, we had won it back-to-back year. Actually, we had won 3 times in a row up until that point. And coming into that year, I think like Barringer was good, Essex Catholic was good, Scott was good, Bloomfield Tech, like everybody in
You said Bloomfield Tech?
Good. Yeah.
All right, so I went to Bloomfield Tech for 3 years.
Yeah.
Back in the 80s, way back in the day, back in the time.
Bloomfield Tech has had some talent, man.
When I was there, it was horrible. It wasn't pretty.
Yeah.
At all. Tech school was like,
it
wasn't good.
I'll tell you like this. It was, everybody had talent across the board. We had a lot of talented guards across the board. And it's funny because at times I joke with one of my guys. I'm like, a lot of the guys from my era, they talk about how dominant they were during like that time. And I'm like, when I think of their dominance, it's like, it blows my mind. It's like, because we won all of the games. Like, I would say to him, like, that was the only thing that mattered for me, was that we would win,
Yeah.
But my senior year, especially my senior year, I made it known to Coach Farrell. Coach Farrell used to have this thing with, trying not to let the games get out of hand. Mm-hmm. I told him I want to make sure all of them get out of hand. So,
Brand.
I want to say, like, in the championship, because at the time, Barringer was really good. Mm-hmm. And everybody just was like, this is the year. This is the year. So in front of a packed house, I think at the half, it might have been like 50, 51 to 15, something like that. Make a long story short, we ended up beating them by like 45 in the championship.
Nice. Right.
I made sure Coach Farrell left myself, Mark, all of our starters a little bit longer, because the message was like, we're not playing around this year. Like, y'all thought it was a game. All y'all think like y'all gonna come in and things gonna change. And like, for me at the time, it was like, nah, no.
Yeah, I just got a text message. Your brother said 31-1. Did he ever win 31 games?
We was number 3 in the country.
All right, so this is, in a perfect world, I was hoping to get both you guys on next week at the same time, right? I was crossing my fingers. I was hoping I could, finagle that. So, Brev, now that I know that you watching, next week we need to have both y'all on so we can set the record straight, clear some things up, maybe. So I was trying to save all this for like the end. If you notice, I didn't ask nothing about you in Brev's interview because that was Brev's.
Yeah.
So I wanted you, because this is you. So I wanted to keep, but because I know the fireworks is coming, so we can set all that up. But we can go ahead.
Nah, he started it. Don't you worry.
Because I was just gonna say, last time y'all played 1-on-1, who won?
You know what? Last time we that's the funny thing. We never really got a chance to play.
Come on, man.
No. Hear me out. See, Hawk, this is what I'm saying to you. See, like, people forget, and this is where I say, my brother was in and Omar were my two biggest influences because, like, my big brother, as when Brad went away, was cool. You know what I mean? Because Brad was at Stanford. You know, the distance. You know, my mom and dad couldn't afford to be bringing him back and forth home. You know, so I didn't see Brad that much. So everything that I was, you know, learning from him was like almost through like just osmosis, man. Like we were so far apart just age-wise. And then Brev, you heard him last week. Brev hated working out. Where the hell was we gonna play?
He said
He hated working out. Like
yo, come on, Brad. Yo, bro, we got, you know what I'm saying, two of Jersey's best basketball players in the same house, 6 years apart. You know what I mean? You basically at both y'all at the prime of y'all athletic prowess, and nobody was like, "Yo, gym's down the street. Come on, let's go."
This gym is right across the street. Gym's outside.
Salvo's right there. What?
I say this, it's like my brother and I are so connected, but we're so disconnected at the same time. Like, because of where his career was, it's like he's always playing. So when it got to the off season, like he's trying to get me to go play golf, and I'm like, man, I'm trying to get to where you're at. You know what I mean? So like the difference was in the off season, like when we spent time together, it never was about basketball. Like basketball would be the furthest thing from, you know, from what it was that we were doing. Now, he would watch the games. He could critique me. I would watch all of his games. I would tape them. You know what I mean? So for us, like, that was like our basketball education. Like, if he was sitting here right now and our competitive juices playing against each other, I'm going to want to whip his ass just as bad as he's going to want to beat mine. But if we were both talking about each other, I could see him sitting here being like, you know what? Brand could have won some games. And for me, I would say, like, he was the quickest and the quickest player, the fastest player I've ever played against in my life. Like, hands, like AI said that. Like, man, like people would talk about him and just being able to keep the ball in front of him. Like, Brad was like a cat. He did everything that defied the odds of what you're supposed to do defensively, and he was effective. You know, most guys were taught to slide on defense. Brad would be walking side by side with you, like, and then just might take over your dribble. So, like, he did things that were like beyond me, and I was amazed by. But just like as the game, as a competitor, like, hell yeah, if we went out there to play, I'm gonna be trying to kick his ass just as bad as the next person. Like, he was gonna be just like the enemy, and he would have treated me the same. So, but as far as just like the competition and us being able to physically have those one-on-ones, like if you ask me that about Cooper, it's like, man, I played him a gazillion times. Like, you know what I mean? We don't have to talk about the results, but we played a bunch of times.
So that Coop was your hardest. That was like, who was your hardest competition ever on all levels?
Oh man, he was the best. He was the best guard I ever played against. I mean that sincerely. Like, what people see his son doing right now, like his dad was incredible, especially like Sharif right now is funny because I hear people when we're together, they're like, hey, that's Sharif Cooper's dad. That's how they know, oh, it's Sharif. That's Sharif Cooper's dad. That's Taya Cooper's father. That's how they know him. Like, but for me, I was his first. I tell him this, he get mad when I say this, but like I was like his first test dummy. So we would be come pick me up. Like he occupied my entire day, so I couldn't go do any bullshit. Like, he would occupy my day. He'd pick us up. It might be 5, 6 in the morning. We'd be at Seton Hall early in the morning. We could be in Orange Projects in 108, at midday playing one-on-one against anybody. Be down at Branchbrook by afternoon. At night we could be in Wheatway. It didn't matter. We'd play any and everywhere. And for Coop, it was just like every single day. Like, he had the working out part, the working out piece, that component. And every day it was like, okay, you come home in the summer, like, I got you. Like, you want to run around, he occupied all of my time, whereby he made me become a better player, and made me, learn how to work.
So, Seton Hall, you off the pit. So what was the transition like? Like going from, high school, All-American, you're like, everybody's watching, and then you make this next level, everybody's watching.
So I do want to say this, Hawk, because I know we talked about just like everybody's journey. Like, you guys had people like yourself with TJ Whitaker. He was he was the assistant coach. He was like a big brother. He was a mentor. And for me, like, being conscious mattered. So not only was like basketball was just something we did, but like being conscious was part of our DNA. So from like, my father used to always tell us, like, it didn't matter if you swept floors, it didn't matter what you did to pay the bills, like, it would never define who you were as a person. So there were a lot of different things that like I took that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball, that helped me through my journey. You know what I mean? So some of the reasons why I ended up at Pittsburgh was because of people like yourself and TJ. The things that you were teaching, the books, the information. My connection to University of Pittsburgh was when I went on my visit. It was my only college visit. The professor at the time, a guy by the name of Marcus Rediker, he was very entrenched and involved with, marches and movements for Mumia and stuff like that. Now, mind you, this was a white professor, very liberal, and all he did was preach and talk about us, was teaching us about us, to the point where, people in Pennsylvania were they wanted to take him down. He's one of the most renowned, one of the well-renowned professors and well-regarded professors at the university. But, he was one of those guys, like when I came on my visit, his impact, the words that he spoke, the things that we talked about on my visit that had absolutely nothing to do with basketball, that's what made me commit to them. And it was the first visit that I had gone on. So that was like, Pittsburgh had rolled out the red carpet as normally happens on an official visit. It was my first visit. My parents didn't even know it, but the impact that this white professor had on me, and he spoke about the university and the evolution of the University of Pittsburgh, and he talked about some of the things that he was doing in our community, with political prisoners and stuff like that. He's still fighting to this day. He and I still have a great relationship. And this is 22 years later, so he was very impactful. And I guess I'm saying this because the education that I got at Seton Hall from Witt, that awareness, the awareness that I got from yourself, whether you know it or not, those were things that impacted my life. And everybody might see the basketball component of it, but like Brev and I, he said it last week, we didn't play the game for the fruits that might come at the end. Like I did it so I could get a free education. You know what I mean? And that was it. That was the only reason why we were doing it. And my dad had only taken that approach. The irony of me going to Pittsburgh is my father fought me. And I told him to this day, I messed with him. I said, Dad, I was good enough to play in the Big East. Because my dad always wanted me to go to Penn or Princeton. He's like, you'll be better suited to go to Penn or Princeton, I'm telling you. And I fought him. I'm like, Dad, I could play at the Big East. I'm 5'9", 5'10" at the time, like 155 pounds. I'm like, Dad, I could do it. And he's like, I know you can, but I'm telling you, these other two places will set you up for life. Like, nah, I'm not doing that.
That was going to be my next question. I wanted you to share with our audience Big East basketball, so they can understand what Big East basketball is really all about. Because I mean, we played it when we've seen it 6 years before, but it was still in flux when you were there. So explain the Big East to people.
It was a different conference. It was for me, like, especially even like the Big East tournament, there was no other tournament that had those lights shine brighter in the Gardens. Like, the energy was different. Like, it's one place that people would travel to. Like, it was almost like a tourist spot. So it didn't matter what school it was. Everybody came, whether it was Marquette, whether it was West Virginia. It didn't matter. Obviously, like Syracuse and St. John's, they had great followings in the Garden, but people didn't realize, like, UConn had one of the best followings in the Garden. Yeah. So with Pittsburgh, when I was playing, we would pack the place. So everybody would come. The only difference was when I first got to Pittsburgh, they would sell the tickets with maybe like a couple tickets to some shows and stuff like that, because they weren't used to winning any games. So it was like, you come, you lose the first day, and then we got stuff for you to do for the rest right. So being able to change that narrative, huge for myself. But just the energy, like, I grew up on Big East basketball. Like, I grew up as a Syracuse fan, like Sherman Douglas fan in the 80s. You know what I mean? So like, it was crazy. Like, I can remember crying my eyes out when they lost to Indiana. Like, I was 6 years old. You know what I mean? But I always just wanted the opportunity to play, and I would have sprinted to Seton Hall University coming out of they just didn't want me.
Wow, that's crazy.
Wow.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
I was going to ask you, like, being at Seton Hall, you didn't mention Seton Hall in the rundown of Big East teams, and because they was
And I'll tell you, like, the personal part about it was Shaheen is my cousin. That's family. That's my cousin. So for me, I'm like, just to have the opportunity to go back him up, I'm like, that's how I was even looking at college. Like, it's not many kids that's like, that were intrigued, especially now. Every kid that's going to college, they're like, I want to start, I want to play all of the minutes. So the irony of it, Kevin Willard right now, who is the head coach of Seton Hall, his dad was who recruited me at Pittsburgh. He never coached me because he got fired that year. But the reality of it was like, I was a Seton Hall kid. I grew up on the campus. I went to camp there. I would go play pickup with their guys. Like, we practically lived there, to the point where, like, I had the opportunity to sit with their coaches, and one of their, like, probably just to go to prep school. You aren't quite good. Yeah. So for me, that hurt me a little bit, because I said, all of the guys that you're recruiting, like, they haven't beaten me. Like, at the time, it was Jay Williams, who went to Duke. They were recruiting another kid, Ty Billett, who went to Rutgers at the time. And I was saying to myself, I'm like, I play against all these guys in the state championship, and y'all are recruiting all these guys at the highest of levels. Like, these guys, like, they haven't beaten me.
Yeah.
So for me, it was personal. Jay Williams we laugh about it and joke about it to this day, because even his senior year, he guaranteed it. He's like, we're going to beat Seton Hall. This is the year. He was National Player of the Year, and we punished them even worse than any other year. So it was like, that was the blowout year. But the reality of it was everybody that we were playing against were all of the people that they were recruiting. And it hurt me to my heart, because I'm like, my dad was here. Like, my mom's still 50 years strong. She's still at Seton Hall University.
Wow.
You know what I mean? So for me, that was like home. So
50.
50, yes.
Wow.
50.
God.
50.
Salute to your mom.
Yep.
For real.
Well,
So
before you get to my alma mater about coaching, because I'm definitely we got to talk about Rutgers, but I want you to tell me how it was to play, because you had some pretty impressive players in the NBA when you spent your year with Houston. You had McGrady, you had Yao, you had Dikembe. I mean, that's Ben Baker was on that squad, and Juwan Howard. So you got some pretty impressive people. So I'd like to get a little insight on how it was to be around those fellas.
Man, I had a cup of coffee in the NBA. Like,
that's okay.
It's all right though.
That's okay.
I say this like I was what is now the G League. Like I was a D League guy. My team, we won. The thing I was most proud of is that, again, like, just a winning mattered always. We won both. We won 2 championships the 2 years I was able to play professionally. I got called up by Houston, and the irony of it was I was there for 6 days. I been with them in the summer, and then they brought me back during the year. And you talk about like life kind of taking you in a circle, like, or just I hit the pinnacle, the highest of highs and the lowest of lows with that Houston experience. So the funniest thing I'll say about it was my locker was between Yao and Dikembe.
Wow, that's weird.
So,
you got Chinese and African.
Imagine in the games that I was there, the press that surrounded these 2 dudes. Number one, their chairs were 2 of the most impressive chairs. Yao's head was probably as tall as my torso.
Wow.
So, like, just to see, like, 7-footers are one thing, 7'6" is different. Like, and then Dikembe was at 7'2" on the other side, and he would say, "Young fella, they're about to roll." That was his thing every day. I'm never gonna stop playing. They could roll me out this game. I'm like, all right. and at the time, Patrick Ewing was an assistant coach. So, like, it was the dynamics of that team where Van Gundy was the head coach. Van Gundy brought me in. I'll never forget the day I got cut. Van Gundy brings me in, and he's like, and it's one of the things I respect about him the most. He says, like, well, the GM really liked you, but I don't like young players. So I'm going to replace you with Rod Strickland, a guy that's a veteran. Just because it's not because you did anything wrong. It's just I don't like young guys. He doesn't agree with my decisions, but I'm going to let you go. They let me go. So now I'm waiting to clear waivers, and my agent is like, "Hey, Brandon, we got something set up for you. You're going to go to the Bobcats, Jazz." I'm like, great. So now I'm thinking, like, I'm going to be Brev's backup. I'm like, I'm all excited. Got to go back to my D League team at the time. And I'm like, I can't get out of shape. The last thing I could do is go down there and not be ready. I'm like, Houston was an opportunity, but like now I'm gonna get a chance to not only play with my brother, I'm gonna get a chance to, you know what I'm saying, like back him up, and I'm gonna have a legitimate chance because the Bobcats at the time really they needed a backup guard just because of some injuries. There was a bunch of things that had happened. So the table was kind of being set. All I had to do was clear waivers, make it like a week. I go back to my D-League team. I have my best game ever, the first game back. The second game, it's about 3 minutes left to go in the third quarter. It's a play that doesn't make sense. I go down, contest a shot. My leg snaps in half. That was the end of my career. That was the very last play. And for me, it was like I had just reached the highest of highs and hit the lowest of lows, all within a matter of 2 weeks. I had just been called up, and I had just realized my NBA dream. My first game, my mom actually got a chance to be there because we were playing the Grizzlies, and she just happened to be in Memphis with my nieces and nephews at the time. So she actually got a chance to see me wear a uniform. And that was the last time I ever played a game.
Wow.
So, well, in front of her, that was the last game that she had ever seen. And I played my 2 D-League games, and that was the end. So I always say, like, I had a cup of coffee. And then,
it's still the NBA, though, man. That's what people understand.
Yeah.
And like anything we do in life, you put it on your resume. If you do it one day, it's on your resume.
You're right.
That's right. And there's levels to the game.
Yep.
And it's something that Brev said 2 weeks ago, in that if you really want to see people like where the talent is, you have to go to like summer leagues, see people get off, right? So lots of time there's a lot of talent out there that's not in the league for whatever reason. But there's levels to it, you know, and you've seen the pinnacle, just to sit there on the bench watching it go down. It's just a whole nother level to the game. That's a testament to the work that you put in, you know, the dedication, you know, and your talent, you know. So, you know, so yeah. But Coach.
Yes.
Are you? So thank you.
But let's go back. Go to the beginning though. Before we get to RU. Go to the beginning, because
coaching.
Because you know, go from player mindset to, you know, okay, things didn't happen here, but let me do this. It's a whole nother skill set, whole nother experience, influences.
So for me, I thought I was always laying the foundation. I was always very entrenched in game planning. Very, very outspoken. So at the time, like every coach that I ever played for, like we always had an open dialogue. It didn't matter what sport I was playing. And the reality of it was it wasn't so much that I was smarter than you, but like that was my advantage in the game, was that I was an extension of them out on the floor, but I could also bring the information back and we could have a dialogue. Like, look, coach, this is what I see on the floor. This is my game plan on how we could attack it. I know you like to do this, and this. Let's move forward this way. And they'd be like, all right, Brandon, go ahead and do it. You know, so for me, that started at a young age. Coaching started at a young age. Now, building the foundation was like creating a network as you were going through it. So like getting people to see you in that light as you were growing up. I think that was what enabled myself to get in very early. I think also too, I will say like my career helped, but also to the sacrifice that I was willing to make. Like,
lost your audio.
Yeah, we lost you. Can't hear you.
There you go. Oh.
Am I back?
You're back.
Go. Okay, I'm sorry. It's a thankless business where just at times like you think you deserve more than what you may get. And the reality of it is, on the coaching side, if you do a really good job, you can stay in that business or that profession for a long time. So the jobs don't have to change as much. Whereas as a player, like you get older, you start to lose some skills, things diminish, like, and they replace you. In the coaching world, like if you continue to improve, you can ascend and continue, you know. For me, what happens also too is like sometimes you get weeded out of coaching by what you are willing to sacrifice and what you aren't willing to sacrifice. Like I took no money. Like I was making $18,000 in my first job as the video coordinator at the University of Pittsburgh. Now, a lot of people will say, well, damn, that's all they could give you. Like it taught me a lot of things. It was the best job, one of the best jobs and best preparation tools that I had for what I do today. I got a chance to do every scout. I got a chance to learn and observe and just all of the things that I learned in my first year, as well as trying to make ends meet on $18,000 for that entire year. You know, I was stressed about it, but it made me work my ass off. And fortunately, after that first year, I was able to move to the next spot because I had done a good job. Now, moving to the next spot, I didn't make a ton of money moving to the next spot because what was held against me at that moment was I had very little experience in the business. And also, too, at the time, we weren't thought to be administrative people. We couldn't handle budgets. We couldn't handle scheduling. We couldn't handle some of those things. So for me,
when you say we, you mean athletes or you mean black people? Black athletes?
I'm gonna say a step further, black athletes. I'll give you the perception on both sides. There's some guys who don't want to learn the administrative part, don't want to do the administrative part at all. for me, it was important to know all of the jobs that had gone along with the business. So if I was ever fortunate enough to be the head coach, I knew what everybody was supposed to do.
Right.
So for me, like, there was no job that was above me. So like, even today, like, my managers, I tell the players, like, you treat the managers like gold, because those guys make sacrifices that, that go above and beyond what probably they need to or have to do. And they do it for us. So I said, like you got to appreciate people. And that was the one thing that it taught me, was the guy at the bottom, they work just as many hours, if not more, than the guy at the top. So their impact on the program is just as much as the guy at the top. You just might not see it. It doesn't come in wins and losses at times. So being able to start and grind it from that position, be the youngest assistant in the Big East for a lot of years. I was an assistant at Pittsburgh for 10 years. We did some great things. And then after that, I moved on to Rutgers, and I've been here we took over a program that was considered one of the worst Power 5, if not the worst Power 5 program in the country at the time. And it meant something to me to not just take the job, but to bring some pride, back to the state, and bring some pride, people who graduated and who had come before me at university.
Yeah. Now, Wes, you had a more pointed question about RU, and I took over the spot.
No, it's all good. He said exactly, like, I wanted to thank you because the last time RU was in a NCAA championship, any NCAA game, I was there, and I graduated at 92. So, it was a long time coming. And for a lot of my buddies, that we were all watching the game on, texting each other, and everybody's tuned in. And we just really appreciated how the program has just turned around, and I know that's a testament to the whole staff. But I wanted to ask you, like, this team that you just had, what made them so special? Because I didn't know they were going to be able to duplicate what they did in the COVID year, and I felt real bad that that things happened in March last year, because I thought that was a real special team, but they came back and backed it up this year. So what made them special?
I think the belief in themselves. Those guys, they embody a lot of the things that I did when I went to the University of Pittsburgh. Like, that belief in yourself is huge. They came, they took a chance. We all took a chance on each other at times. But the one thing that I will say for a lot of the guys that had come aboard with us, was just that sheer belief in themselves, that their hard work, our belief in our staff, and what we do preparation wise. I think those were all variables and factors that coming together, bringing the right group of people together, it was something that helped make us successful. And I think just when you're building something together, like, it mattered, the fan support that we got, like the fan support that we had the year prior when, we won the most games in the country, the most home games in the country. That fan support, it helped us get through some games. And just the energy around the program, and getting the right guys for our program. Like, there's a lot of talented guys in the area. There are a lot of talented guys that you would love to coach, but you want to coach guys that want to be in your program. You want to coach guys who believe in what it is that you're doing every day. And I'm just not that guy. I can't kiss your ass every day.
I hear you.
So we have.
And Rutgers is a beautiful. They got a great facility. The campus has grown so much over the years. People don't understand. It's like Jersey recruits just need to think about what they're doing, because the possibilities are tremendous if they stay right home, right there.
Yes. So, like, I guess there's a slippery slope with that, right? So if I was to ask you just perennially, like every year, like nationally, like, who are your best programs? Like, who comes to mind in right off top, Wes? Like, who would come to your mind?
Obviously Michigan, Duke, Villanova, UConn.
Right. So you said name all of those people, right?
Yep.
How many of those people have to say that I have to get every kid from out of my area in order to be good?
How many of those
How many
programs
have to say, "Oh, I got to get every kid out of my area"? Like
none.
No.
But here, that's always the narrative, not only for us and for Seton Hall. It's like, how come you guys can't get the local kids? It's like, well, it's not that we don't try. It's like sometimes they think what's outside is better.
Oh, yeah.
I said, and a lot of that comes from the people who are close to us. They promote everything that's outside. Yeah. I said, so with that being said, like they worry more about what's on the front of the jersey than what's on the back of the jersey and what's in the jersey. You know? So when I say those things and guys are like, well, you know, they aren't that interested in us, it's fine. Like, I'm not going to waste my time chasing. What I do is there are kids that are playing basketball all over this country, all over this world. So we've assembled a team that has come from all over this world. You know what I mean? And hopefully the energy amongst the guys that are around the state is that we've done enough. And like, if they come and they see what the place looks like you guys have no idea what Livingston campus looks like.
I lived on Livingston. I haven't seen it in years.
Have not seen it. So, you wouldn't know that there's a movie theater that plays current movie on campus.
Wow.
There's a diner, there's Starbucks, there's Dunkin' Donuts, there's Sbarro's, there's a restaurant, there's hibachi. Like there's a barber shop, Kite and Key store, supermarket. This is all on Livingston campus.
Wow.
By the way,
it's a whole new world.
Next to the business building, there's our brand new 27 whatever $1 million facility that people haven't seen because it opened in September. You know what I mean?
2019.
Yeah, so a lot of people haven't been able to even see. Like, we still don't even have all of our signage up on the wall because of when COVID hits. So, like, the things that everybody talks about, like, people come on our campus and, like, they're blown away. They're like, this is Livingston campus? Like, yeah, it's not barracks and parking lots anymore. Like, that's all you saw.
Yeah, it looked like it was. I think the Job Corps used to have a facility out there on the campus when I was there. So yes, it was different.
Like
it was different.
Like big parking lots and barracks. There was nothing else there. But now, I would challenge people to come see Rutgers University. If you haven't been there in the last 3 years, let alone if you haven't been there in the last 10 years, 15 years, come see the place. Before you make a judgment and assessment, like, come see the place. Come get to know our university. Like, read up on our president. He one of the dopest people that I mean, sharp as a tack. But like, those are things that people don't realize. People don't realize how much that university has to offer just because there's nobody saying it. And people who are right here, who are right around, people who have gone there, they don't know and that they have something that they can be very proud of. If you come see it right now, you would be so proud of your university, what it looks like.
Well, I speak to it pretty good out here because I'm in Texas, and there was a ranking that came out with colleges, and everybody's always, the Texas people are proud about their schools, so they would talk about academics, and UT was number 24, and I was like, oh, that's pretty good. And then I asked somebody that was reading that list, I said, who was number 23? And it was Rutgers, and they were like, so that kind of got under people's skin because I'm trying to tell them it's not just it's athletics and it's academics.
Yes.
And the potential is just ridiculous. But there are a lot of people that realize how good the school is. A lot of people realize it.
So when I say tying it all together is like where the reason why we got in the Big Ten is because Rutgers, one, we have the biggest media market that the Big Ten could attract, which was New York City, obviously. Along with that, the academic, the way they were seen academically amongst, all of the rest of the universities in the Big Ten felt like they aligned, because Rutgers, I always laugh and joke about this, like Rutgers sees itself as Princeton, just with Princeton with, Rating sports. Like that's how Rutgers sees itself. And I love that. Like I love the fact that we had a kid last year, kid Miles Johnson. He graduated magna cum laude, like from the engineering program. So for me, that meant a lot because he was a major contributor to the team. He excelled at the highest level. He was working for IBM during the season last year.
Salute to him.
He was working for
Salute to him.
So it's like he's got some great initiatives that he's starting. He was a special kid, you know what I mean? But those things were things that Rutgers allowed him to do. The people, the engineering department, they came up with a program for him, and we managed our practices around him. We would alter practices, we'd alter workouts, everything that we had to do in order for him to get through that. And that's not something that happens at a lot of universities. So
absolutely not.
Kid that's 6'11" from LA, from out west, to come over here and to be able to, reap all of those benefits and have some long-standing relationships for the rest of his life, like that's great for me.
Now, you touched on this a few times through your conversation, but there's basketball and there's the business of basketball, and just for our viewership to explain the difference between the two in a nutshell.
There are so limited spots in the business of basketball and there's so many people that are trying to secure or obtain those spots. Like Brev said, he was talking like there are ways to approach it. So for me, like I said, going back to the business of basketball, like, again, I've never worked in life because for all of my professional years, I got done in 2003. This is now going on my 19th year, starting my 19th year as a professional. Basketball has still always paid the bills. But the reality of it was I just always said to myself when I was younger growing up, like the business of basketball was going to take care of me, whether it was I did it in coaching, Brev did it in doing the commentating and being a color analyst. My father did it in athletic administration. So for me, the foundation and the building blocks, just to kind of extend my business of basketball beyond just my playing days was so important. And for me, it happened a lot sooner than I had ever anticipated, because an injury that left me, in a wheelchair. I had 3 surgeries to get back up on my feet, get back going. But it propelled me into my next career, so having to lay that foundation, like there's so many different businesses of basketball, but people think that there are many opportunities and they're so limited and so few opportunities. You kind of got to try to pave a way early on and kind of run your race and do the best you can with the race.
Yeah. Though there are a few opportunities and few avenues, there's more than just playing basketball.
Correct.
Yeah, and that's I think it's important for viewers to know that when our young people are in the athletics, we say, oh, you gotta have a plan B. Yes, you have to have a not so much a plan B, but you can construct the way you constructed your life. Yeah. You made a business out of it. Like when you say I never went to work. No, you have a job, but you made your job something you love, so you don't work a day in your life because you love what you do.
Correct. Right. Yeah, it's unique because like the experience I have now with kids, like I try to give them some factual numbers. And I say like roughly, like if I told you the total number of guys who played in the NBA, like it would blow your mind. It would blow your mind. Roughly about 4,600, give or take. 4,600.
Not a lot.
Not a lot. This is the entire NBA. Like years and years. 4,600. So when you look at that number and you say there's about 450 guys, 480 guys, in the league at a time right now, and it's like all of these young brothers and young people from all over the world are fighting for so very few spots. I'm like, what's your niche? Like, what makes you special? there's some guys that do things that make them special. So, case in point, Cam Johnson, who's playing in the finals. Cam Johnson.
Yeah, he's brilliant. That dude is doing it.
Yeah, he's nice.
Off the court is crazy.
So he went to Pittsburgh, and I'll just give you a quick synopsis of his story. So Cam Johnson is defying all of the odds right now of what the prototypical NBA player was supposed to be, but he has a unique story. So we took Cam as a 17-year-old, 18-year-old. He was skinny, about 6'6". Actually, he was about 6'4" at the time. 6'4", 170, 175 pounds. And one summer, Cam grew to that's by the end of that summer, he was about 6'7", almost 6'8". He had started to put on some weight, but he could really shoot the ball. Bright student, 4.0 student, that caliber student. Cam graduated in 3 years from University of Pittsburgh, transferred to UNC, graduated with, I think, his MBA from there. So Cam, fast forward, Cam is 23 years old going into the draft. He's played all 5 years. He's graduated. He's 23. And that's like doomsday, right? That's what everybody says. Oh, he's too old. They're not going to draft him. Cam was picked 11. Now, there's some other things going against him. He had, I want to say, both 2 knee surgeries. He had 2 hip surgeries and 1 shoulder surgery, all in his time during his collegiate career. Those are some more red flags. But the reality of it was Cam was so decorated as a student. He was so decorated as a person. Like, everybody loved him, that the NBA didn't give a shit about his age. They didn't care about any of those things. All they cared about was the fact that this was the kind of person. Like, he has the skills, but this is more than anything. This is the kind of person that we want to represent us in the NBA. And he got drafted ahead of some guys who were on his team who were thought to be picks or top 5 picks, but I say the business of basketball was the NBA is going to try to do everything they can to weed out guys, because I'm giving millions of dollars. I'm giving millions of dollars away. So I got to know any and everything about you that makes you special. And the one thing that made him special is he was a great student, he was a great person, accompanied with being a great basketball player. And that's why he got drafted so high.
Man, it's crazy. So not because you brought up Cam Johnson, that might be a good segue to what's going on right now with these finals. If you got a second.
Yeah.
It's 2-2 right now.
Okay.
And we're in a dead heat. Giannis is looking unstoppable. Middleton stepped up last night.
Played his tail off.
Yeah.
Like, the MVP, if the MVP was going to go to somebody, it's going to probably go to Giannis because of the star power, but it definitely should go to Middleton, in my opinion.
Really?
And that's just my opinion.
And why you say that?
You said why?
Yeah, just for the series, right? For the series, right?
For the series, no, not only for the series, but for the entire playoffs. Because at the end of the day, like, he has to do it on both ends. There are no nights off for him on both ends. Like, that's the part that people miss. Is like, also too, at the end of the game, they're not going to the MVP.
No, they're going to Middleton.
Going to Middleton. Yeah, I know. I don't disagree with you, but I just want people to I want you to explain yourself, because you don't sound crazy when we talking without the guest.
Yeah, it's just throughout watching Middleton over the last few years, and also in this year's playoffs, sometimes he disappears.
Does he disappear? Or let me ask you this. Does he disappear, or has expectation for other people, like, when they don't meet their expectation, it's like, all right, well, live up. We need you now to be number one. Is that the case? Because, like, if I'm always considered the number one, then let me be the number one. But that's like the Bulls not succeeding and somebody being like, well, it's because of Scotty. Like, no, people were going to say if the Bulls didn't succeed, it was going to be because of Mike.
It was the team. That team was a different dynamic in that, like, it's established Giannis is not the closer. He's not a closer, right? And because
is Giannis is not the closer when convenient, or
yeah, that's what I was going to say. That's the
he's
narrative that
not
they
the
say that Giannis is not the closer.
no, it's because his skill set actually is limited, and tight in the game, jokers build a wall, and it's like, okay, what you gonna do with the ball? You can't get through three defenders.
They build a wall the whole game. They build a wall the whole game. Like I say this is the part where me as being in the game, me being a ball player, I'm gonna tell you, I know when some guys want the challenge. And I don't care when people talk about that. If you're a superstar, if you that kind of a guy, you that guy with that DNA, you're that guy that's supposed to be that guy.
That's what. This is the you're preaching the gospel of Wesley Henderson right now.
like I am. See, I know how superstars could go and hide. I know or quote unquote superstars like go get guarded at times when your team needs you the most.
Like LeBron, like, does LeBron James do that?
No, I think LeBron James got older in his career. Like I always say this, Brav compared him a little bit more closer to Magic. I think it's Mike. And I say because even he kind of came out and said it, like people act like I didn't average 25 a game for however many years. And I'm like, yeah, you're the most dominant scorer in the game. It's just a matter of whether you decide to do it or not. And at the end of games, my only concern with him used to be the level of shot difficulty I thought came from out of not wanting to get fouled. And I think that's why Giannis won't go get the ball at the end of the games in fear of, oh, they might foul me. I got to go.
And now you got to go to the line.
Make tough shots. You know, as long as I don't touch the ball, as long as I can tip it in, I can catch it, dunk it real quick. Nobody can foul me. There's no pressure for me to have to step up and go to the line. But there's nobody that could stop LeBron when he wants to do what he wants to do. So in my mind, at the end of the game, there's no better opportunity except for him.
Yeah, that's why it never made sense. I agree with you, because when he doesn't care, there's nobody that can stop him except for himself, right? So when he would be passive and explain it as the right basketball play, it just kind of made it strange, because like for instance, even last year they won the finals, but that game where he gave the ball to Danny Green, who had been sitting out for God knows how long in the game, and that's gonna be our last shot. When you had a better look, just is puzzling to me, because he wasn't prepared. That wasn't necessarily the right basketball play because of the situation. The man wasn't ready for that shot. Whether he's a better 3-point shooter than you or not, you still got to be willing to take that shot regardless. Like that has to be your time right there.
See, like, and I think with LeBron too also is, I think because he's so smart with the game, sometimes he can manipulate himself.
Overthink it.
And overthink it. It's like he's so much of, an orchestrator that like I'm trying to control certain things when it's like, hey, my man, like are the best option, the only option, and that's it.
Yeah.
So you just really helped me understand something. This dude is playing the game like it's a video game.
He has, and this is where his dominance and his excellence is unappreciated, is like you could talk about these other guys and how talented they are. Even like people talk about how talented KD is. Like KD still isn't LeBron. You know what I mean? Like he can have all of the skills in the world, but there's something that LeBron has been able to do that he hasn't been able to do for an extended period of time, and I think KD is one of the most intriguing and one of the best talents to ever play the game. Size, his skill level, offensively and defensively. But there's a piece, and I hate comparing them because I think they should be all left just at their greatness. But like, if Kevin Durant could have gotten Brooklyn over this hump, like it would have. I think it would have elevated him.
I mean, he was a toe away from it.
He was a toe. He was a toe.
He was a toe.
Yeah.
But the thing is like his career path, even going back to Texas, like he's always been exceptional at what he can do. But the thing is like he doesn't have a lot of exceptional feats to go along with it. Like, think about it. Like
Golden State wasn't an exceptional. It wasn't. I mean, it's Golden. You hopped on a team that was already built. That's not an exceptional win.
He still was the best player on the team, but
no doubt. But
they did it before you got there, and they beat
you. They beat you to do it.
And to do it, so they weren't considered on the level of like him, like Steph, Harrison Barnes, Draymond. Like none of those other guys that Steph played with will ever be considered MVPs of the league. Like Russell Westbrook, James Harden, perennially are fighting for MVPs of the league. Like, you know, so with that being said, you know, like you had the ability, and everybody will say, well, they were young. Like, listen, like LeBron doesn't get all of those passes when it comes to those things. So why don't we hold Kevin Durant at that same level? Why don't we hold him at that same level?
I totally agree with you.
You know,
1,000%.
Yeah, I don't even look at Durant in like when it comes to the. I agree with you on the comparison stuff. I don't like doing it, but I don't look at Durant even on that level just because 18 years versus 9 years or 10 years is just different. And LeBron has been doing it for such a long time. And I just can't get caught up in the comparison when, like, you know, I hear Devin Booker, he plays 3 games in the playoffs and now he's Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant, that's disrespectful.
the resumes are like
it's disrespectful, you know. It's like, come on, can you let the brother
let them finish their careers?
Let them have a career, yeah.
Right. That's all it is. Right. I'm not saying he can't do it.
Brent, before you go in, right? All right, before you do that, I want to bring in a good old friend of ours who's a part of the Madison Sports Show, Uncle Spliffy. He's sitting in the queue. So he's an old friend of me and Wits and West, Uncle Spliffy, Brandin Knight, Uncle Spliffy. You go ahead and spit your piece, Brand. I'll be right back.
Okay.
First of all, big up. I actually followed your career on the low because I'm Hawk's age and graduated in '91, and one of our boys actually went to Pitt and graduated from Pitt. Ramon English. He went to Scott beforehand. Okay. So when you went, you know, going from EO going to Pitt, I definitely followed your career and definitely give you a big shout out and congrats because you definitely did your thing and represented EO correct.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that a lot. The crazy thing is I can't believe it's a lot of people that tell me how much they remember like games and stuff like that. And I'm like, for me, I was just so happy just to be playing. Like kids today, it's like I start seeing like the recruiting and how everybody is, you know, just I'm blessed to receive an offer from this one, blessed to receive, you know, and I see all of these things like, man, I was so happy just to be there and just to have an opportunity to play and then also make so many people from back home be proud. You know, It was a lot of people that started to come to the University of Pittsburgh from Jersey because of like what we did as far as the program and stuff like that and just bringing recognition to the university. So, I appreciate that. I definitely appreciate that.
No, I was a Cuse fan and still am, but you know, I definitely had, you know, big East fan and definitely appreciated you doing your thing. And you know, you had a good career, yo.
No, I appreciate that, man. Appreciate it. Wes, where was we at, man?
We was talking about Kevin Durant and LeBron and the comparisons, and I was just saying how I don't get caught up in the comparisons because I want them to finish their careers, and we talked about Devin Booker and Kobe comparison.
So I did want to talk about this. I will bring up the Devin Booker thing, man, and the reality of it is like he has some of those traits.
Mm-hmm.
Young player, he has some of those traits that Kobe had. The one thing that he hasn't had is he didn't have a Shaq. He didn't have an Eddie Jones. He didn't have Nick Van Exel. He didn't have, you know what I'm saying? He wasn't welcome to the NBA with that kind of expertise. You know what I mean? And that kind of help. So, like right now, if he's able to do this and do it at the stage right now in his career, like he's special, man. I'm telling you, because he's out in Phoenix, people don't get to see it. He's special. People didn't realize.
I don't disagree with that. I think he is special. I just said that I think all the players should just finish their careers before we start comparing them to anybody.
Yeah.
You know, because their parallels are like, you know, they can't. The people that are gone or stop playing, they can't change what you see in present. It's
Right.
always get caught up in the microwave.
Right. But some of the things that in his first playoffs, like you could go back and those guys that he got compared to, look at their first playoffs.
Oh, he balling.
No. Look at their first playoffs, and then you say, well, the Kobe comparison it's not that blasphemous. It's not. If you look at first playoffs, what kind of team they had versus what kind of team he had.
Yeah.
Like comparable settings, like yeah, he's you can make that comparison. I don't think that comparison is for the overall narrative of his career yet. But to this point right now, to say like a guy who's playing in his first playoffs and playing the way that he's playing at the level that he's playing, even last night, they win that game without
42.
and sat the bench for the third and fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's crazy. And still ended up with 42 points.
Yeah.
So
and 9 fouls.
I get what people saying.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
I guess that's what my thing is that
you caught that, right, Cliff?
Yeah, we have to go there.
What, 9
fouls? I said 9 fouls.
His sixth foul or his sixth foul that they didn't call was terrible. But I'm gonna tell you like this: the way the game is being officiated is BS. Number one, those guys are refereeing the score. They're officiating the score.
Preach.
The part that pisses me off is like, if it's a foul for Giannis, then it's got to be a foul for everybody else. And what I'm talking about are plays that don't even like. There are plays that he makes that it's like, if I can just put my head down, run into you, like you can't call foul when you lose the ball. Like it's just there's nothing I can do. Like there's no more legal guarding position. Like he's putting his head down. They called Ayton's, I think it was his first or second foul. All that happened was Giannis ran into a brick wall. He ran, he tried to spin, and when he spun, he hit him. No hands, no brick wall. And I'm saying, like, I just want it to be a good game. Like, even the Devin Booker foul, like, I got no skin in the game. Like, I don't care who wins. I just want to see a good game. But you call touch fouls on one end, Campaign gets slammed to the ground by Bobby Portis. Nothing happens. After there's one play where after the play is over, Bobby Portis elbows him in the back of the head. Like, and I'm saying to myself, like, y'all got review. Y'all got all these are supposed to be the best officials. So I get that you may miss it on the front end, but like some of the stuff that y'all are missing, to not call that last foul on Devin Booker is crazy. But his fifth foul was a terrible call.
Yeah.
Well, big shout out to Pearl.
So
Errol Flanagan, E-Star is great. Chiming in.
You know, so it's just I think it's a fish game. Like let them dictate what the game is going to be. But don't you can't say to me that there's fouls on one end and then like there are no fouls. There are no fouls. Like Ayton catches it in the post. Like these guys slap every play. Like,
so you think there's something to be? I was gonna say, you think there's something to be said about what Chris Paul was saying about the one official he's 0-12 against?
Scott Foster.
when Scott Foster comes on the court, he loses every time.
So he's like 0-12 or something.
0-12.
Zach Zarba, he isn't the greatest of officials either. So like Zach did the game last night. He's and part of my problem with them is they have too much control over the game and nobody gets to address them. Like nobody ever gets to address them. Like there are so many plays that happen that just at a certain point that it's like, damn, you missed that call. Like you're right there. And the reason why you're officiating the finals is because I'm not saying you got to be perfect, but for you guys for the three of you guys on that floor to not call that 6th foul on Devin Booker is a crime.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Now I'm not sure if y'all talking about the same one, but it was with 3 minutes and 21 seconds when he went to the hole, got fouled, and then I guess Giannis put in the putback. Is that the foul you're talking about? Because that should have been his 6th.
Yeah, Giannis put the
Giannis had the putback. Yeah. Because again, they also missed another one, and it was 27 seconds to go, and he clearly fouled him too. But again, you knew that they were just trying to keep D-Book in the game.
Well, you say they were trying to keep him in the game. Well, Giannis had 2 fouls. Like they don't call any fouls on him. And not for nothing, all of his fouls, like how many times you gonna poke guys in the eye? How many times he pulled Chris Paul down by the neck? They don't even
slap Coward like what's his name?
Crowder.
Jay Crowder in the face like 2-3.
Hold on.
Yeah.
He walked underneath Kyrie. Like people don't talk about this shit. Like just because he's done some dirty things now.
Mm-hmm.
He's done some dirty things, they don't call him on him. They don't review the plays. Like the play with Kyrie. He just walked underneath him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy.
Like yesterday with Chris Paul. He pulled Chris Paul down by the neck. They didn't look at that. There was nothing that was a basketball play about that play. So, like, my thing is you let him get away with that. PJ Tucker. Well, y'all talk about freedom of movement. PJ Tucker, every play is fouling. Drew Holiday, every play is fouling. So all year the NBA plays the no-touch rule. And this is my only problem. If you're going to say the game is going to be physical, let it be physical all the way. But for the most physical guy on the floor, who is Giannis, you can't tell me all of a sudden we're going to turn into a touch foul game. Like, you can put your head down, lower your shoulder, run me over, run into us, and there's no call. Like, so, again, even if you don't call charge on him, don't call a foul for him.
Yeah.
I'm not saying call it on him, but don't call it for him. It's the offense right now has way too many advantages. Way too many advantages. So if you saying I get to put my head down from at 90 feet just go through you, elbows, all of that, and whatever I hit you with, you just gotta take. Not only do you gotta take it, we're gonna call foul for you too.
Yeah.
Like I'm part of the problem is nobody. For Phoenix, they got all nice guys, and I get it. Somebody's going to be suspended, but I would be the perfect guy because that put your head down, running forward, all that shit. Like I would be the guy that would run into him like the Buck. Boom, one forearm, and like, all right, I took the foul.
All right, well, let me ask you this question then. So how you feel about Pat Beverly then?
That was coward. Like you walked past the guy to push him in the back. If you was gonna push him, I would have respected you more if you while y'all was face to face and push him. But
in terms of Pat Bev's game, like he comes in with he's got this.
The first thing Pat Bev did that I didn't like was pushing Chris Paul down. But I'm in your face all game. Like I like that tenacity.
Really,
I like dudes that don't back down. Like Chris Paul get a bad rap because.
He'll punch you in your nuts.
Man, he don't back down. He don't back down.
No, he don't back down.
Like, and it doesn't matter if you and I are friends. Just because you and I are friends doesn't mean that when we compete. Like, I think Paul George.
So Brandon, in your career, you shot jokers in the jewels?
Nah, but I've definitely elbowed some guys in the face. I've definitely
Okay.
elbow some guys in their chest.
Okay.
Me, big guys, I'll give you this. So big guys, I was notorious for this. The first time you stick your knee out on a ball screen, you got that. All right, you got me this time. Knee me in my thigh. The next time you stick your knee out there, you risking either ACL injury or whatever, because I'm gonna blow that shit up. You lean into those screens, don't you worry about it. I'm that guy. I'm that guy that's gonna run through your leg, and people be like, "Oh, that's dirty." Well, most of the big guys, y'all setting screens on us little guys. Y'all sticking y'all knees out, y'all shoulders out, y'all forearms out. I was the one that would take that foul. Like, I know the screen coming, and I'm gonna run right through you. So the next time you come to set that screen, I just want you to think twice. Like, he gonna be like, "Oh,
I'm flip."
Or guys who would lean into it. You see this elbow? That elbow will hit you right on your hip. You get that hip pointer, I bet you they don't stick their damn knees out no more. You won't move on that anymore. So, like, for me, like, people might say that's dirty. I'm like, no, that's just the fix for the bullshit that you were doing.
Okay.
Like, I'm with all of that.
With all the shits. I got you.
I play the game with integrity, but I also play the game. Integrity goes both ways. If you got low integrity, so do I. And my thing is not to get caught with it. So, like, I watch guys fighting on. They do all of this carrying on. I'm not doing that. Like, I'm not trying to get kicked out the game. I'm trying to get even. So, away from the ball, like, the guys that want to be all up on you, it's like, I'll tell my guy, pass the ball high. So when they throw it high, I jump, elbows out, everything. And I make sure you get all of that chin action. I'd ask him, "You all right?" "Okay, my fault. You good?" Like,
yeah. Yo, so all you up and coming basketball players, you should be taking notes on how to elbow your way through a game. You know what I mean?
I remember
kids jewels right here, ladies and gentlemen. Jewels.
Football was my first love. Football was my first love. That's what I did.
DB.
So, yeah, I played strong safety and corner. And
that's what I played. Yeah. And
so for me, like I love the contact. Even right now with our bigs, like I work with like our big guys now, and like the post ups and Brevard. Even like there was one thing that I was never going to let you do to me, and it was post me up. Like I had Napoleon syndrome. I did. I was that guy. Like guys would be like, "Yeah, come to me in the post." I'm like, "Man, you don't want this work. Like, you're not getting anywhere close to the basket. I'm going to fight you. I'm not going to let you get the ball." Like, it didn't matter. Like, the only thing you could do in order to score on me in the post was be tall. You better play tall. Like, catch it, shoot it over me, just be tall. You put it down, you try backing me down, that wasn't a go. That was the way you were going to lose it.
Got you.
But that came from, again, that, like,
I got jokes.
From the of, where we grew up at, like when I would play in the pro-am, like, talking about the Rod Stricklands, like all of those guys, Horace Jenkins at the time, D-Rock, the Allen Watsons, Omar was on my team, so I didn't have to go against him. We were playing together.
It's Elmwood Park, Orange Park?
This was the East Orange Pro-Am. You talking about Speedy? Primetime would come over from New York City. Terrence Rencher, Kevin Freeman, Reg Freeman, like all of the guys, Speedy, from all of these dudes were the dudes that would come in. Anthony Mason, everybody who was somebody who lived in the area, they were coming to play in the East Orange Pro-Am. So those were all of the guys I got a chance to go against. And like I said, those were my idols, my big brothers. Mark Brown kicked my ass before, you know what I mean? So I had legends, and local legends, overseas legends, the college legends, pro NBA legends, park legends, all types of guys that I was able to play against, and that was my basketball education growing up.
That's crazy. That's so, like, to hear the love for the game from a very pure place, It's good to hear. And you know, we always the folks that have played, they always give us that side, and we look for that side because you know it's more than just like a sport. It's you like you said that earlier. Like it's just it's not just basketball. It's a lifestyle, you know. And you take that lifestyle and turn it into something for yourself, and you've done just that, you know. And very proud of you, Brandon.
No,
very proud of you, bro.
I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys, and I do want to tie this back in because, like I said, just the awareness and the consciousness. Like I'm aware of all of the young men that come in and out of our program. Some of the guys that are getting involved with basketball and want to play professionally. All of these different things. But just for myself, like even with the young men that come through our program, like it's important for me that they're able to create sustainable lifestyles for the rest of their lives. Basketball has opened doors and avenues. Like I've traveled the world because of basketball. Sometimes I tell them like, you guys got to sit and appreciate, embrace that, just be thankful for it. My guys, my players themselves, like I say this, I said, just think about this, and all of you guys could understand how big this is. These kids have not set foot on a commercial flight and since they've been here. Any kids who played in our program have never gotten on a commercial flight to go play anywhere. So when our bus pulls up to our plane, there's no security. These guys walk on a plane. When the game is done, we may play a 7 o'clock game. We're on the bus back to the airport. The plane is warmed up, ready for us to go, and we're back home by 12:30, 1 o'clock, and they're able to go to class the next day. Those luxuries are not things that us in the Black community are privy to, ever. This might be the last time, some of the best times, and the last time that they'll be afforded some of these opportunities. So I say, like, especially for our kids or kids in general, even the ones who've come from overseas that play, this is going to be some of the best times of their lives. Their professional careers, unless you play in the NBA, won't see some of the opportunities that they'll see right now. So, like for me, I'm thankful that I'm in a place to be able to give some kids those opportunities, you know, and as well as to try to help affect their lives in a positive way, because like yourself, guys like yourself, like you've had an impact on my life beyond basketball. And there are things that, like, just being aware, man, like I've been able to tie a lot of these things into basketball. And it's made not only my experience better, but it helps me help some of our youth with their experiences too. So I would like to just tell you thank you too, Hawk, not only for having me on, but for inspiring, for giving us something, you know, even with Channel Live, like giving us something like to say, that's Mr. Green, like kid,
Mr. Green.
Yo, that's Mr. Green. And it's like, I'm like, man, that's like.
All right, so Wes got the giggles right now. You know
what I mean?
It's Mr. Green.
But the reality of it, like, you don't realize what I'm telling you, and Hawk might not even notice himself, but like that was the impact that of the people that were around us, and I'm so appreciative because it made me who I am. Like, it taught me how to hustle when I was younger. You know what I mean? Point where like I went above and beyond, like just with different things we're doing business wise when I was a young kid, because of some of the ways that you guys infected us as students. You know what I mean? Like we, from leading walkouts at Seton Hall Prep, you know what I mean, to starting my own promotional and party business when I was in high school. Like, so the reality of it was I was able to use basketball as a platform to promote my business when I was in high school.
Nice. Yeah.
And so my mom, I had to make my mom come work a couple of my parties just so she
Wow.
my mom thought
Right. Selling drugs. Nah. Throw parties, ma.
she couldn't believe where the money was coming from. But the reality of it was I had some opportunities. I was a forward thinker. Like, and again, that's why basketball was like an afterthought. Like, I was just doing it. I was just playing. Like, I would going from season to season. I enjoyed my time with that. But after that, man, basketball, I was using basketball to hustle. Like, we were getting kids from as far as Philadelphia and Connecticut to come to parties at Terrace Ballroom and Robert Tree. I could put 4,000, 5,000 people in Terrace Ballroom and Robert Tree while I was in high school. And my best selling point was I was hustling and promoting all through basketball.
Well, wait a minute. So, you know, I do a program in Newark, 24 hours apiece with the mayor. It's a 24-hour peace festival. We like 10 years in. We're planning for this year's on September 3rd, September 4th, Labor Day weekend. We need to talk about the Rutgers Scarlet Knights. And hopefully we can have some type of engagement. You guys maybe do some type of activation. You'll maybe have a representative from the school come through, and we just have that presence there, you know, so we can highlight the program and highlight the school in general. It's that, but then it's what you were just, what we were just talking about. I lost it. What were we just talking about?
Just what part?
Your impact.
Right.
Your impact.
Your
impact on the community.
Yeah, it was that, but you had said something, not that. It was something right before I cut you off. God, I was trying to double up because you needed to explain something. Come on, Spliffy.
I'm trying to think too.
I needed to tell you about 24 hours apiece because I didn't want to forget that.
Oh, because of the party business, because of the.
Oh, there you go. Boom. So, how do you feel about amateur athletes being able to get paid off their name and likeness? That's what I want to talk about.
You know what? So, because I'm in it, right? People always say, "Well, you're biased." I said, "Well, the thing is we talk about a lot of different things, and I think right now we have to be very, very clear, right? Because name, image, and likeness is something that's big, and everything. Like your name, image, and likeness is something that you should be able to promote, make money off of, all of these different things. The thing I have some fears right now. That's hard for me to express because I start to see all of this legislation. I see government getting involved. I see all of these people. And typically, when I see people get behind us with a lot of fervor and a lot of fury and like, yes, they're passionate about it, I'm always concerned about ulterior motives, right? So right now, we're pushing this narrative of name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness. Name, image, and likeness. Scholarship, these players, they're workers. Let them work. What I'm afraid of is in a couple years, there's going to be some legislation that's going to be passed that says, now, you guys can work, name, image, and likeness. They're going to take all of the strings. They're going to take all of the parameters away, and they're going to say, go ahead and do what you want. My fear is what they're going to start to say is you know that scholarship that y'all get, because you guys continue to call yourself workers, we're just going to treat you like that. And that's going to all become taxable income.
Yep.
And now, once it becomes taxable income, what people don't realize is like you guys would lose a lot more than what you would stand to gain. The Zion Williamsons of the world and the pretty volleyball girl, the pretty gymnastics girl, like there's going to be a platform for her to make some money. There's going to be a platform for some other people to make some money. But for the masses, the Power 5 conferences pretty much take care of Division 1, 2, and 3 basketball. So there's a misperception that there's a ton of money in college basketball. There is. It's just a ton of money at like the highest of high levels. So if it gets to the point where the people who are at the highest of levels say, well, you know what? Y'all just keep cutting into our pot. We'll just eliminate and shut you out. The people who are going to stand to lose the most are people that look like us. Because the kids at the lower Division I level, Division II level, that are playing other sports, that count on these scholarships, that count on this aid, that count on this money. If basketball gets selfish and say, I just want it for basketball and basketball only, and just for the guys at the top, then you'll see really quickly, like, we're going to be the ones that really, it's kind of almost like a super ramped up capitalist mentality, because all of these kids, what they don't realize is all of you aren't a commodity. All of you don't sell tickets. All of you aren't influencers. Like, so at the end of the day, like, the money that you guys think you could make off your name, image, and likeness, it might, for some of you, it's going to be in abundance, and it's going to be very few.
Yeah, that's a small percentage.
For the majority, like, at a certain point, companies are going to say, well, why am I just giving out free money?
Right. Like, well, like, let's just say, like, in your particular case, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you talked about, being able to throw parties, right? Now, throwing parties, nobody's looking for you. Nobody's coming after you. But technically, during the time you were doing this, they could have came after you and said, you're making.
No,
they couldn't.
I was in high school. And this was a business that was important to everybody else. This had nothing to do with basketball. This was.
But like, did you do that in college? Did you throw parties in college?
Hell no.
No.
Hell no. Who has money? Nobody had money in college. Like, let me tell you what my biggest stick was in high school. In high school, the parents pay for your entertainment. So I could start off a party at $20 because at the end of the day, everybody wanted to come. And in order to, like, I'm gonna tell you, at 15 years old, I went over and I would scout the clubs in New York City. I would watch them hold the line. I would watch them keep people outside. I would watch how they would pay the security. Mm-hmm. You guys want to get to the front of the line? Come up here. I watched how the door prices would go up. My mom had a rough time doing the door at times, because I'd be like, we might start the night at $20, but when all of the hustlers and all of the dudes that came with a pocket full of money, when they showed up, they wanted to pull their money out their pocket. So when they showed up and they pulled their money out their pocket, I wanted to make sure I was going to tap into all of it. So they wanted to show off everybody that was there. I'm like, my mom, it's 12, 1 o'clock, party pack, and they want to make it, they want to make an entrance. Yeah, $100, $150 per person. My mom is like, Brandon, I can't charge them that. Yes, you can. Watch, they're going to pay it. They're going to pay it. Watch. So all of the hustlers and everybody that would come late, it's like, all right, I got 8 people. All right, $800. And they might have had to pay $50 a piece just to get to the front of the line, but y'all just get that to security. I learned. Right. So security would be paid by the end of the night. The
right.
DJs would be paid by the end of the night.
But now
taking all that money home.
Right. But this is primarily because of what you're doing on the court and your name recognition and all that. That's not because your name is ringing bells and Brandin Knight.
There was no social media.
No, you don't need no social media. All you need is put up points in the county tournament.
Yeah, but
I'm doing a party next week.
But I wasn't looked at like that. Now the thing was so Brev and them, there was a lot of hostility. For me, there would be a lot of hostility at the games, but at the end of the day, they all like, and we go to these parties, we hang out with them, like, so, like, I was looked at, and I hate to give this term or this, but like when they looked at Brev and I, it was like he was the kid that was quote unquote the good kid. I was the kid that was the in the street kid. Like, and part of it was because like the company that I kept wasn't always the best company. You know what I'm saying? But the reality of it was that's what we grew up with. And like some of us made it, some of us didn't. And end of the day, that didn't make me like shy away from my friends. It just was like at a certain point, our relationships, we went different directions, and at least for a lot of them, like I always gave them a tip of the hat because they never made me feel like, yo, you left the hood, you left us.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? They would be like stay over there. Like if trouble coming, go that way.
Go that way.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
like Coop, that was also where Coop jumped in because it was like, man, anything, like why you hanging around this one? Why would you be here? Why you this? Like, no, we're not doing that. You know,
Nice.
so for me, like I was that kid that wanted, I was more social than, you know, like I always say this, my brother, I wish I did some more things like him when I was growing up because my mom would have had an easier life, you know, whereas for me at times I was a little bit rougher around the edges, and we just kind of, you know, I was kind of just walking through life, just doing stuff. But I always had the idea that I want to make money, and that entrepreneurial spirit started at a young age.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
But to touch on that a little bit, that's the one thing that this name, image, and likeness, the entrepreneurial spirit that's gonna basically instill in all these athletes is something that I'm excited for, and I think most of the athletes will be able to benefit from. Now,
good. Let me just add real quick. Oh, go ahead. Finish.
Well, what I was gonna say is obviously your upper, tier athletes and your most popular, your cats with the zillion followers and all that. Of course, they're gonna make more than the average person, but it at least puts everybody in the game, I think.
I love that. I do love that. I love that. I just hope, like right now, what also is happening though, kids are becoming target for businesses to exploit them. So like right now, kids are like, oh yeah, sign a deal. People are like, I'll give you $100, and they're like, $100, like, all right, just give me $100, and they don't think twice about it. And I always say, like, at least just consider what your value. Like this person just gave you $100, and like, what's the expectation beyond that? You know, what's the business behind that? Like, who's going to be running their business? Like all of these kids who are taking payments, who's going to be helping them with their 1099s? Like, who's going to be helping them with their LLCs? Like, see, again, now there's a whole nother realm of things and exploitation that some of these kids may be susceptible now. And the biggest thing is they're telling us as universities to, one, be hands off with it, but also two, like we can't help them get deals. We're not supposed to do any of those things. So with that being said, everything that goes positive for them, they can look at it as, well, I did this. Everything that goes negative, it's like, well, you as the university, you haven't promoted me. You haven't put me in a position to secure a bag. You know what I'm saying? And not for nothing, the reason why a lot of you kids are important, the reason why a lot of you kids are even marketable, is because of what you do. Like right now, I'm seeing more kids try to figure out how to make money than to how to be good at the game.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
So
that's gonna happen.
Like Uncle Spliffy, there's just some balances that I'm hoping kids will get a chance to capitalize off of it. And I hope, like I see somebody, JT just said they're gonna get rich and forget basketball. See, I think I like the second part of that.
They're gonna try to get rich and forget basketball.
I don't know about rich.
They're gonna try to get rich. They ain't gonna get rich.
It's gonna be a couple. Like right now, there are a couple people that are gonna be able to secure a bag with the deals. Like the pretty girl that's showing her skin that got 1 million+ followers. She play volleyball. Like those are the college athletes that are going to stand to benefit.
Mm-hmm.
But like for a lot of football players, like their name, image, and likeness, NFL players can't secure a deal. NBA players can't secure deals. Like everybody think there's a ton of this marketing money out there and stuff like that. Like, yeah, marketing money is out there for people who can actually help build the brand.
Mm-hmm.
Throwaway money, like there are companies now that are like, yeah, I could invest $100, $200 into 100 athletes and hopefully one of you pop. But if you're one of the 100 athletes that's doing it, it's like it's watered down. So you can't really capitalize off that avenue. So like I said, it's just there's a slippery slope with this whole thing. And I'm hoping it works out for kids, and I'm hoping they get as much as they can.
Yeah. And you're hoping that the product on the field is not
diluted,
definitely watered down. You know what I'm saying? Because they're gonna lose focus. They're gonna be chasing money and not working on their skill set.
Right.
Well, I hope that I can get you and Brevin on next week's show.
Yes.
So we could settle some things.
Yes.
Because he been feeding me information the whole time. My phone been ding ding ding. He's giving me stats. Like, okay, it's research for me. Yeah. So
But let me tell you, this is the funny thing. Quick, and I got to jump on this Zoom, man. I got some recruiting stuff to do.
Yes, sir.
Brevin and I, when I tell you our careers like paralleled each other, we both went to universities that were at the bottom of the conferences. They grew, we grew our program to what they became. We both 2-time All-Americans. The craziest thing is Brev and I are right behind each other as far as assists and all-time leaders in NCAA history. We are right. I think I might have passed him on his last game. But as far as like points, all of that stuff, I'm not close with him on that. But he's the all-time leader in assists and steals at Stanford. I'm the all-time leader in steals and assists at Pittsburgh. You know what I mean? Like, our lives have paralleled so much. And like I said, that was my basketball idol. He and my brother he was my first. He was the person I looked up to. And I mirrored my game. Even stealing the ball I tried to steal the ball just like him.
Wow, that's dope. Everybody's trying to be like Mike. Brandon's trying to be like Brev. That's dope,
hey, bro.
That's beautiful.
That's right.
Yo, man. Thank you for sitting with us, man. We appreciate it so much, man. This conversation was so dope. You dropped so many jewels. It's Madism Sports. We keep bringing it, and Brandin Knight is, again, a great addition to our series. West Cliff, y'all want to say some part words to the brother before we let him go?
Are you, baby? That's it. Let's keep it going. Keep it rolling, man. And I gotta get back out there. I think the last time I was there was 7 years ago, but I only made it to the golf course, and that was it.
Wes, I'm gonna get your number. I'll do a walking tour for you of Livingston campus just so you could see it.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be
I would bring my phone, take
in,
pictures.
I'll take you on a tour myself personally.
Absolutely. Well, that's a date then.
All right.
Make that happen. Yep.
Right.
Fellas, thank you. I appreciate y'all for having me, man.
Thank you, Brad. One love, bro.
Big up, Brad.
Yep. Yeah, that shit was fire right there, bro. That shit was fiery. Yo, we be coming with some great content, man.
Yeah, Hawk. He said, you had a lot of impact on the, Channel Live was a lateral movement too. Your people that was your age was looking up at you like, that's my man right there. That's my man's in them right there. So yeah, it's a good. Madism is doing this thing. Let's put it down.
Madism is doing this thing. Channel Live is dope, but it's an honor and a privilege to be known as, a teacher and educator.
Absolutely.
And having an impact where it really matters. I want to give a big shout out to TJ Whitaker. Of course, we had him on last week, doing a lot of that early work. I want to shout out everybody in the building that has been following us. Errol, Pearl, as we know him, JT, no doubt. Tasha didn't hop in this week. That's crazy. Valerie Scales. Big salute to Mrs. Scales, who passed away recently. Was my old school teacher and high school advisor at East Orange High School. Valerie's her daughter and my classmate. And love you, Valerie. And I want to say rest in peace to your mom.
Condolences.
Robert Swinney, you already know he's in every week. Salute. So let's talk about some things. There's no game on tonight, so we ain't got nowhere to be unless y'all got to bounce. But I know we had a schedule that Wes put together, and I wanted to kind of talk about those things. That's cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get in. I mean, we had 2-2 in the series. I think both of I think all of us are basically on point with that. But how y'all think it's gonna go? Now it's the best of 3.
Yeah, I think it's gonna go 4-2. I think they're gonna go back to what is it 2?
No, it's
No.
it's
One,
one
one.
now
1-1-1.
Yeah,
1-1-1.
Yeah.
Oh Lord. Yeah, it can go 7.
It's probably gonna go 7.
I think so too. I think the home team is going to do their thing. I think Phoenix ultimately going to win it that 7th game. But I think Chris Paul is not looking his best self, and there's speculation now, that maybe he's sick and COVID, and he's just not feeling himself. But he has to come to play. He has to play that.
I ain't want to have this conversation with Brandon on the joint, but I think Wes, you sent me the Tim Donaghy link. Scott Foster.
They friends, best friends. I didn't even want to get into it on because I know Zach Zarb. Well, Zach Zarba came through the same officiating crew that I came through, and what I will say is a lot of refs that won't say it, and I don't really care because basketball is basketball, and when it comes to officiating. The only thing that separates an NBA official from anyone else who officiates is the opportunity. Period. The end. It's not about the skill set. You can put most people that referee, they crazy anyway, right? So to ask for that punishment, and at the NBA level, just those guys have the opportunity to be NBA officials. So Zach got plucked out of the school that I went to like immediately. I don't think he did much of anything but pro. So there was a look they wanted, and he got selected. And there's a lot of guys there's a lot of basketball calls that I look at and shake my head all the time and just hate the fact that I'm a ref because I know that's all entertainment value in the NBA because it's not the high school game and college game are not officiated like the NBA game, and that's just a fact.
Mm-hmm.
And the things that they critique you on, like he was saying, like Brandon was saying, that's an obvious foul. Guys like me at the high school, even college level, miss fouls like that. Guys that look like me, we lose our conference schedules and we get demoted. Other guys, they don't. Nothing happens. Guys like us get to. If you look at all the black NBA officials. Look at those black NBA officials' physiques and their builds. Look at all their builds, except for Capers. And Capers has been around for 25 years.
Yeah,
so
jacked
he's older,
up,
right? But he's older, so he's not in great shape anymore. But the other guys are all like, all of them are all fit. Like, and that's another thing they'll say to us, not to us. Like we have to be fit. So I've heard it all, seen it all. Everybody tries to act like basketball is a new game, and it's disgusting when you see guys like Scott Foster that have an agenda. That's just real talk. It's disgusting.
Yeah. Well, to me, it really just seems like it's dollars.
Yeah.
And we need basketball on TV, and let's extend this and make sure our stars in the game so people are watching. We want to make sure Devin Booker's in the game.
Absolutely.
We want to make sure Giannis is in the game so people will watch.
Cliff does the betting, right?
Paul or
Cliff.
I know that because that's who played the other night.
Well, that is absolutely positive. Yeah, that's absolutely positively on the center of all officiating, all the changes, all these the rule changes and stoppage of play and all that. Again, because
he wasn't the only one person.
Oh. No.
I mean, he's the one they threw down, but he probably wasn't even the top guy. Let's just put it that way. He probably wasn't even one of the top people. He was just somebody that was expendable.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. He was the one that was expendable. Period.
Yeah. Well, all of these guys definitely gamble, and particularly in the officiating realm, all those guys. But again, the way these games are officiated it has to depend on how the action is coming in.
Absolutely.
So again, when you talk about them going to the videotape, and trying to figure out which way the call's gonna go. You know, that call is coming from directly from New York.
Yeah.
And they're basically saying, okay, the money is this way. This is the way the call is gonna go. But while last night's officiating, they clearly missed those calls on D-Book, you know, those, but they let a lot of things go. And I think that it was consistently officiated, because I used to officiate as well. Mm-hmm. I mean, I only up until the high school level and rec league levels, but I was certified in New Hampshire. I was certified in Maryland, and I did it for years. Haven't done it for years, so I know exactly what you're talking about, Wes, and what we look for and what we see. We even watch the game differently, you know, as officials.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? But again, I always look at how the NBA officiate. It's, again, where's the money at? And that's how the game's going to be called. You know? Yeah.
Absolutely. I thought it was. I think it's horrible though, because even historically, like when you'd watch Shaquille O'Neal was the funniest one to me, because he would play at home and he'd shoot like 15 to 20 free throws, and he'd play on the road and they wouldn't get any free throws. And you go to tell me that, or the intentional foul call, so the way the NBA's played now, these intentional fouls make me laugh too, because anybody that has you have an actual basketball play, but you inadvertently or incidental contact, you touch them in the head, they call it an intentional foul or flagrant, which is ridiculous. When you had Shaquille O'Neal in the game, they intentionally grabbed him and mauled him, and they called it a regular foul. So it's just beyond me in terms of what I know what an intentional foul is, and I know what a flagrant foul is, and I know what a personal foul is, and they're all different. So, I mean, if I can decipher that because of a referee class, and it's the same type of foul, pretty much in the same rule books in terms of what a foul is, why do these guys get it so wrong? Why is it that we go to the hole in the NBA and somebody does like this to a player and we call it an N1 and they barely get touched, and someone gets mauled to the ground and there's no whistle? Mm-hmm. You can play through contact. I was told that you play through contact, so we avoid N1s at that level. So it's just it's convenient. It's convenient for certain officials, but it's all entertainment value.
I'm gonna interject a perspective. Tell me what you think. That this international game is going to change the way USA basketball plays, because it's proven. It seems to be proven, I should say, that the way the NBA game is kind of whack. It's ass, actually. It's a one-on-one, two-man game. It's not a team. It's not a team offensive thing going on. And people were saying that's why the USA was getting lost in the international game, is because these other teams are playing five-man basketball, whereas the USA is just, one-on-one, take somebody to the hole or shoot threes.
Yeah, it's 1-4. Everybody runs a 1-4 set. So put one person at the top of the key and just get out the way. Everybody else spread the floor. That's what USA basketball is, but it's been that way for a long time. It's just the players that you select have to be different. These guys, I don't know. I mean, I just think that they can learn how to. Popovich is all about ball movement, so it can't be about coaching. Krzyzewski, they moved the ball in Duke, so it can't be about coaching. This is about the individual players and whether they want to buy into that. In terms of the physicality of the game, I would definitely say that that's a problem, because basketball, there is contact in basketball, and we need to play it accordingly. I mean, the fouls that these guys cry about, I mean, they cry on every single play, and their job is to deceive the officials, and that's how they coach the game now, to basically flop, or to that's basically how we play now. I mean, we thought the Europeans were bad. Our game is a flop on every play. And that's what it is.
And unfortunately, that's the American brand, because when they're playing over there, they're gonna body you up. It's gonna be some physical play. It's definitely, and that was the one thing that they were saying. They wasn't used to getting roughed up. The Americans were playing soft in those first two games, and the Europeans or the international players was just bringing it to them.
Yeah,
and that's what the U.S. not having a big man presence, someone that they can dump it down to. That's what they're thinking is going to be a bigger problem. But it's just, for me, it's just the chemistry. It's just the fact that these international teams have been playing together for years.
No, that's not true. Nigeria and cats haven't been playing with each other for years, and a lot of those jokers live in the United States.
Yeah,
but they got residents from in Nigeria, but he's been playing over here on different.
Yeah, but the Nigerian, you better believe their Nigerian basketball, their national team, the core have been together for a while. And again, with Nigeria, they had what, 5 different pro players?
Yeah,
7?
Yeah,
so I mean, like, it's not like they're scrubs. All I'm saying is,
what I'm saying is, your man got his shit pent up like this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm on those cats.
Wait, what's going on? Like, it's not like it was a hard-fought game. Nigeria edged them out. Did you see what your man KD did? No, he was like, did you see what happened to your man KD?
Yeah.
Ooh.
Ugly.
Competition is a lot closer right now. We shouldn't be expecting to go over there and blow anybody out like we have in the past.
It's the arrogance. It's the arrogance for the game that we have, and we're good, but I think you have a point, Cliff, because I still think it is about chemistry to a degree, because these guys, when you play with people, it's something to be said to be playing with someone you already know what they're going to do. And the NBA player is all about the individual right now. Like, they don't have role players on that squad.
Yeah. They don't, and you got to figure the fact that with their third game, and they barely assembled the team like 2 weeks ago. You know what I'm saying? So again, even with the teams like Nigeria, where they have 7 pros, the base and the core of these national teams have been together, have played together. And you have to realize that America is getting everybody's best shot. It's everybody's Super Bowl to play against the U.S. and beat them.
That's their playoff. That's their playoff game. That's their NBA final against America. So that's what it is. And so it's like Slovenia, that core, their team been together, and they just add Luka to it. Yeah. And they already know that Luka's the guy, so they just add him to it, and he fits in where he fits in with that team. So even the argument people may have about Luka being selfish in the NBA and having to give up the ball, and make that maturation process go, he might do that with Slovenia because he's used to playing with those guys, and there's a level of trust that he has for his teammates in Slovenia versus the level of trust he has for his teammates on the Mavericks.
Yo, know it's gonna be crazy, bro. The stakes are really high right now with USA basketball because it's the brothers. And when the brothers is playing all these Europeans that have household names as well over here, if the brothers catch an L come season time,
yeah, they're not going to like the result.
Nah, I'm telling you, y'all better step up. Your reputation is on the line. The narrative in next year's season is going to grow out of what happened with Luka when he went up against what happened with all these international players who were in the league, what they did to individual U.S. players. You're going to talk about it. Yeah. You're going to.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
Stakes are high. All right, what else we got?
MLB, state of the game.
Wow, it's crazy. MLB All-Star game was the other day. Your man Vlad Jr. won the joint All-Star MVP, right?
Yeah.
Shohei did his thing for the he started and he batted lead off. And even though he didn't win the home run derby, I don't know if you guys tuned in. He did his thing in the first round. He put a show on. He definitely put on a show. But Pete Alonso, shout out to New York, shout out to the Mets, because that brother came prepared. prepared, yo.
The
He
polar
did his
bear.
thing. Oh yeah.
That's the polar bear.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yo, though we're talking about baseball, I'm gonna just go off on a quick little tangent. What's up with your man Stephen A. Smith and his comments that was like on the left side of idiocy?
Which one?
Ooh.
We can
So
go.
you're talking about the one about Shohei?
We can go
Yeah.
Shohei, or we
Yeah.
can go. We
Yeah,
can
what-
go. The Nigerian thing, I think, was just as bad.
What do you
Yeah,
say
I think
about
the
the
Nigerian thing was worse, to be honest with you.
I actually
Because
think it was worse.
Oh,
Yeah.
what do you say about the Nigerians?
Well, he was talking about the USA team losing, and
Mhm.
then he started saying they lost to a guy named. He was making fun of people's names and whatever the hell how you say that name, however the hell you say that name, whatever his name is. It was so awful for a black man to go on national TV and be the step and fetch it dude and do something like that on television publicly. That was disgusting.
yeah.
To mock their names and to say that and be the person that did that. I just lost. I mean, the Shohei Ohtani thing is awful, but that right there and the fact that the Japanese people came to Shohei's defense and they've been calling in and complaining and everything about what happened, and he had made a public apology, but black people didn't care as much about the Nigerian comments, and that's why we can't do nothing, because Stephen A. Smith epitomizes what we do to each other.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it is.
I think you hit the nail on the head. We have no value of ourselves. We don't love ourselves. Therefore, we speak disparagingly about ourselves.
We give permission for others to do the same.
Right. It's shameful.
Yeah, that was shocking.
That you would disrespect your own people for what? For ESPN or for whoever you did it for? This audience, he has an audience. And he seems to be speaking for his audience, and it's shameful. Like we know that New York audience, that New York sports audience, is a special kind of Archie Bunker sometimes, and it seems like it's odd to hear a black man sound like that.
Yeah. He's flirting with danger though, because what he doesn't understand is he makes so much money now that he thinks ESPN needs him. And ESPN is in a corner right now in the last 3 incidents when 2 of them are his. And even Jalen Rose got criticized as well because he put out that statement that the only reason Kevin Love was on the Olympic team because he's a white guy. So ESPN is dealing with all these incidents with these comments, whether we agree or disagree with Jalen. The fact that it came out at the same exact time as Rachel Nichols and then Stephen A. Smith with his two statements. Stephen A. might be if he got let go, I wouldn't be surprised. Let's put it that way. I wouldn't be. It wouldn't shock me. I'm not saying that's going to happen, but they're a very what do you call it? They're a reactive organization, ESPN, and he doesn't understand. He's not Rachel Nichols.
Yeah, and his history of blunders is way more extensive. Like he has a long history of blunders.
Yeah.
And it's, but some things are just much worse than others. And when you mock yourself, when you laugh at your own people, that's shameful. And I was unaware of that happening. I was talking about Shohan, and like again, bro, like why would you disparage a whole community through their cultural, identity? Like through why would you do it? Especially in this day and age, why would you fall on that sword?
Yeah,
I don't. The Shohei incident, to be honest with you, I get why people were outraged or whatever, but he was just speaking his mind, and he just got a little too comfortable, because for me, he didn't say anything that was bad. I understand why they jumped on him, but his whole narrative about Shohei and the fact that he would be a bigger star if he didn't have an interpreter, if he embraced the language and all that. That's what they were harping on. And I kind of agree with it. And when he was, because I watched that show, and when he was saying it, I wasn't getting the fact of, wow, I can't believe he's saying it. Now, when he made the quote about the Nigerians, I was like, wow. Now, when he came the next day and apologized for the whole Shohei thing, I was like, I thought he went above and beyond, but then I'm thinking that was the pressure that community brought on him. But I was happy to see he did apologize to his disparaging comments about Nigeria, because that was disgusting.
Did he apologize for Nigeria?
He did.
No, I thought he apologized for Shohan. I didn't hear him apologize for Nigeria.
And later on in that show, after he gave the long-winded apology to the Asian community, he did say, and I will like to apologize because I flippantly said, not being able to pronounce his name, and then he pronounced his name, and then he gave them props also. So no, he gave an apology to Nigeria.
Okay,
he did. But
with the interpreter situation, like, are you this dude's marketing rep? Like, why is it your responsibility to decide how he's going to be embraced in New York?
Well, no, in baseball.
In baseball, excuse me.
Yeah, it was baseball.
But to be honest, I think it was just the normal American arrogance that we have. Yeah. And if people aren't speaking English, and if we can't understand it, we say, "Oh, you bring no value." And that's the type of thing he said. Oh, he's over here. He's a star here. He should be speaking our language. The fact that he hasn't embraced our,
he should be speaking our language.
That's basically what he was saying. But my thing with Stephen A. Smith, he's like Cliff said, when you listen to what he was saying, you understood where he was going with it. But the fact of the matter is, he has to understand he lost his sense of where he was and who he was.
Oh, absolutely.
He was the messenger. And I just want to rewind so people can understand historically. Okay, baseball America, people that are baseball enthusiasts out here, they complained about all the Latinos that could not speak English in this country. So he wasn't the first person to bring it up. He brought it up to the Asian community, and based on the climate right now, he picked the wrong time to be comfortable, right? But Brian Cashman of the New York Yankees fired El Duque's translator because he said El Duque's been in the States long enough. It's time he speaks our language. So a lot of Latino players in the league don't like how they're treated because they feel uncomfortable because people put pressure on them to speak the language. So I get Stephen A. Smith he's the martyr for this, but he's not the first person to say this because they've been talking about Latin players for way longer than this one Japanese player. I think he just chose the wrong time to do it.
Yeah. And that's the point, Wes, because again, you know how the public has been on the Latinos
absolutely
decades for not being able to embrace the language and all this. But now you talk about the globalization of the sport, the fact that all the money coming in from Asia, they're not gonna try that with Shohei. So that's why they had to,
they had to check.
You're absolutely right. Stephen A. got too comfortable. He forgot where he was saying it and what he was saying. And that's why he got smacked down.
He did that before, and he didn't learn. He thought his paycheck outweighed everything. Stephen A. Smith, you were the same dude that they got rid of or they gave a hiatus to because you were going after Roger Clemens the way white folks were going after Barry Bonds. You felt like you had to go after Roger Clemens. I agree with him there, but he had to fall on the sword because people call him a racist. They said he was going after Clemens because he was a white guy, yada, yada, yada. But they were doing the exact same thing. It's like the Eminem thing. I'm saying the same thing you said. He's saying the same exact thing, but you want to criticize somebody else for doing it. And it's crazy. But his biggest blunder wasn't that one. Is when he said Babe Ruth might be black. That's the one that really broke the camel's back in the day. When he was really comfortable. So he's had a gas.
I always thought the thing that did him in was the Ray Rice comments when he he didn't blame the victim, but the narrative was that he was blaming Ray Rice's fiance at the time for getting and
he messed that
Michelle
up.
Beadle, Michelle Beadle went whatever. But see, even on that one, it's not that I agree per se, but from my understanding, he was only paraphrasing what she had said, the Ray Rice's fiance. But Michelle Beadle didn't take too kindly to it, went to the higher ups, and he was on ice for a minute.
He's been on ice a couple of times.
Yeah.
And that's when they dictate the narrative, or when they change the narrative, or when they shift the narrative, just like this whole Shohei thing. I mean, it didn't have to be taken the way it was taken, but I mean, if again,
it's just at this point in time, because the game is so international, like you guys said earlier, it's why would you don't frame the conversation like that. Like it's when other people do it, it's like, come on, yo, this is America. This is the great melting pot or salad bowl, however you want to put it, right? We should be appreciating people for who they are and what they're adding, as opposed to saying you have to fit in the way we prescribe things. Like that's kind of, and then you have an African American, who we get upset when it happens to us.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So why would you be the clarion call for something that you're really opposed to yourself to some degree? Like,
but are you? That's when it comes to him. But are you? Because a lot of times with a lot of these guys like him, they don't understand. They're in a position that you become the spokesperson for people that look like us, and you're not. But they feel like they've been empowered because of the position that they're in, and then his word becomes the word for all of us, and it's not. We don't all feel like Stephen A. Smith.
To that point, he often speaks for us.
Yes.
Without our permission.
Without our approval.
Right.
Yeah, I don't need him. I mean, there's gonna be things that I agree with he says, but even if I agree with you, the three of us, we have a pretty good flow going, but we don't agree on everything. But we don't have to disrespect each other to get our point across. That's the whole thing. And one person is not bigger than the whole group. And I don't speak for anybody on this panel. So he doesn't speak for me when in our walks of life either. So that's the whole thing. And that's how America does it. They get one black person and they get his opinion and they want to throw him in front of the camera and think he speaks for millions. And that's not what it is.
Yeah, thank you. So let me see. So you guys want to? What else was the state of baseball? We said start out with the state of Major League Baseball.
We talking about. I was brought up the fact that CC Sabathia was talking about the state of baseball in his new book. And I thought that it was quite interesting that he said, and still on this topic of kind of like the diversity and race, is CC Sabathia let it be known that he did more fraternizing with the other black players versus his own teammates. Especially in lieu of the George Floyd and all the other killings of unarmed black men, he felt that he couldn't even have the conversation in the locker room because he was always engulfed with conversations about why can't black people just listen to the police from his teammates. So basically, when you look at who he had on his list of folks that were on his email trail or his text trail with all the black players, a lot of them have experienced the same things. The Andrew, not Andrew Jones, Jones from Baltimore. Adam Jones, Stroman, Marcus Stroman. He mentioned Brantley, Betts, David Price. So all these guys have, rivalries with the Yankees, but when they came to town, that's who you have dinner with, people that look like you, because those are the people you can actually be yourself with for longer than you can in the locker room.
And talk, have real conversations.
Absolutely. And so, it gets painted as, Yankees, great team, always great teammates, but not just the Yankees. He was saying he was the only black player on the Cleveland Indians, So with the Indians as a name, so that part was going on as well while he was there. So it just goes to show you how, this thing is ingrained in has a lot of tentacles, But in sports, particularly baseball, since there's not a lot of us there playing, they have to walk a finer line than any other sport because they're not well represented, and they can get blacklisted immediately for anything that they do, any misstep like the kneeling and stuff like that. In fact, they have more players kneel in baseball that are white supporting black athletes than some of the other sports that they want to do. You know, so it's just they have to walk a different walk. And CC Sabathia just put it out there. And one thing about him, he seems to be a pretty genuine dude. I don't think he had an agenda or anything like that on axe to grind. And you know, he's from the West Coast, you know, Oakland born. And so he just seen different things in his life, and he said that, you know, I wasn't brought up in the suburbs. That's it.
Yeah, but that's what people don't get is the complete mind fuck it is for African American players to be in an environment that is dominated by white men. You know, it's because the culture and the nature of the relationships oftentimes become very you know, the ownership part of it. I own you, and how you perceive black talent, you know, the sharing of power. Once you get outside of the sport of it and you climb the ladder, you see it gets whiter and whiter and whiter. It's less room for opportunity for African Americans, though we're the labor that drives it. You know, it's a mind fuck to have to navigate that world from a corporate standpoint, playing a game, taking the insults, you know, the open insults and the closed insults, because it's a lot of unspoken dialogue that goes on, a lot of eye contact that goes on. You can feel energy in the room. You know, the energy changes when you walk in, and then you have to then assert yourself with people who have been trained to fear you, you know, or misunderstand you, or it's a mind fuck. It is a complete mind fuck. So, you know, CC Sabathia talking about the New York Yankees, you know, being in that environment, there's nothing more American than the New York Yankees. You know what I'm saying? We say America is, you know, baseball, apple pie, you know, and new pinstripes. Like, that's so to navigate that as a star athlete, African American from the hood, you know, there's a culture. Hat to the side. There's a culture there that, man, you know, your career is on the line if you speak out a little too strongly.
Yeah.
You know, you make people uncomfortable. You know, they don't back you up. You know what I mean? Maybe I don't really go out all out for you or what have you. You know what I mean? So it's a lot that we have to consider when we're watching the game, and we're passing judgment on people who then have to go in the locker room, and the locker room is real tension. And you have no idea that this tension exists. You know, it's interesting. It's crazy.
Yep.
So, let me see. Wes, it's crazy how that CC scenario sounds like the great Cleo Hill story of racism in the 60s with the NBA players, Bill Russell and those guys. They all ate dinner together because of how racist things were, and they couldn't eat in white restaurants.
That's basically how he was explaining it. Like, you know, this is what it is. And this is 2021. But when you try to explain that to people, they just don't understand it. You know, I just hope that in the next couple of years we could see the game grow, because there's a lot of money that's being put in baseball in the Black communities because they want it to grow in our community, you know, as well as you know, in the Latino communities as well. But we got to get better representation, because if they want to know why the ratings are down in baseball, it's because we're not in it.
Yeah, and that's real. You know,
we're the biggest consumers of everything. So
but not just the biggest consumers, right? We give it that extra thing. We always, oh man, I'm crazy right now. I just got a phone call. There you go. We put that extra thing on it that makes it consumable.
Yeah.
For the world to consume, for everybody else to buy into.
Yep.
We add that extra, you know, off topic, but to the point. I was in an organization back in the day, had the pleasure, the honor of working under Harry Belafonte, Ozzie Davis, Ruby D, some other greats. And in one of our meetings, Ozzie Davis comes in with the Wall Street Journal, and he's mad. He slams the paper on the joint. He's like, this is the power your community, the power of hip hop, power of you young folk. You don't even know your own power. This is the power. Look, open up the Wall Street Journal. Boom. There was a story about the French town Cognac. It's a town where all of the cognac that's produced, and what's that, rum? All of the rum really is produced from this town. Their economy is based on the production of rum. So China had placed an embargo on all things French, destroying the revenue for this town, not a company, a town, like whole town running off rum. You know how much, of course, my man Cliffy know about the rum, being the bartender you are. So the town was gonna go bankrupt, but then something happened. Buster and Puffy put out Pastor Cavassier in this international sales of
Cognac.
There you go. Thank Cognac. Shout out the roof. Save the town. The power of hip hop. The power of black people. The power of when we go, it's a go. It usually be a go. So, to your point, Wes. Yeah, man.
Yep. I thought that was a pretty good story to talk about, because I grew up on baseball myself. That was my first love, but it was just hard because we didn't do that. All my friends were playing football and basketball.
Yeah. I came up playing baseball like early on. Like I was the first sport that I grew up with. That was going to Mets games, going to Yankees games. Get your bat. We call them the nigga be cool stick, but you get your little, you get your bat. I got a baseball signed by Roy White one time. I didn't understand who he was.
Yeah.
I was too young. He wasn't Reggie Jackson. That's it. He wasn't Reggie Jackson.
He was good though. He
was very good. Yeah, he is career legend, Yankee legend.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, baseball was, that's something that, as a sport, even the Negro League, like black people played baseball in the South, out West. It was a very strong sport with the black community up until, probably the 80s.
And they were very good at it.
Very good at it.
That's why they didn't want to integrate it. They didn't want to, the blacks to come and take over.
Well,
that's why the Negro Leagues back in, the Satchel Paige days were as good as, if not better than the MLB.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
That's why baseball was integrated. It wasn't because, there was this thirst to be in the white game. It was that, if we don't stop these Negroes, they're gonna steal our fans.
Yeah,
people wanted to see the Negro League. You wanted to see the circus acts. They juggling, they doing all types of things, and the games were like watching the NBA now, relative to the 50s. You watch basketball in the 50s as opposed to right now.
Basketball made that mistake. Basketball waited too long, and by the time they were ready to be real with it, they already got taken down. When you got North Texas beating Kentucky, the secret was out. So they waited too long, and they didn't want that to happen in baseball, because it was going to be an exhibition game that would happen. I mean, they had exhibition games, obviously, but the ones that get televised or publicized, they didn't want that to happen, because that'd be the worst thing that could happen for Major League Baseball at the time. For a team of black athletes to win a game, come on, no way.
Yeah. Wow. That's crazy. But so the state of Major League Baseball, they need to do a better job with their engagement, the African American community.
Yep.
From a cultural standpoint, and for raising the bar in the athletics. The bar will be raised, because that's just what we do. We raise the bar. So yeah.
Well, they need to do a better job of marketing their players. And I think since their biggest star right now is Shohei Ohtani, they'll have a blueprint to how to, market anybody, no matter, what culture, internationally you're coming from. And I think if they can do that, they can get more engagement from the people, but they have to start targeting the younger, the youth right now.
Yeah, they do. They do.
Yeah. Yo, so what do you think about Ohtani's comparison to Babe Ruth and him being better than Babe Ruth?
I don't know what Babe Ruth played like. First of all, that was 1920, 1910.
Mm-hmm.
You see the highlights of him hitting a lot of home runs. And I will say this, Babe Ruth didn't play against the best talent, and Ohtani is.
Yeah, so I agree. I think what's going on now is more impressive just because of the talent that he's playing against now. Granted, Babe Ruth, he was a man amongst boys. He was hitting, 30 home runs a year when teams were hitting 20-something home runs a year. You know what I'm saying? So he was just that much better than everybody else. But again, to do what Ohtani's doing this day and age against the competition, pitching and hitting,
and
fastball 100
playing.
miles an hour, he's doing his thing. He's definitely doing something that's unprecedented.
Unprecedented. Everybody's playing. That's the bottom line.
Yeah.
There's everybody's playing.
How much do you guys know about the Japanese game?
I know
because they take
the baseball league.
Yeah, baseball league. Like they take baseball very seriously.
Absolutely. They're thorough over there. They definitely they probably have the second best league than the MLB. The best baseball players are probably in Japan as opposed second to the US. But yeah, they're definitely reputable.
Oh yeah.
All right, so the Japanese baseball player versus the Dominican baseball player.
It's close, but you got to realize, Hawk, you talking about just the amount of the number of, I would say it's close, but look how
I think the games are the same.
It's close though.
I think Major League Baseball's Japan and the Dominican, it's still baseball, right?
Yeah.
And when you integrate it, you find out who the best players are. We claim to be the best. It's almost like soccer. We dare not speak on soccer because soccer internationally is football everywhere else except for here. So, and they have, 250,000 people in the stands coming to see a soccer game, overseas. We're just so brash and arrogant in thinking that we do everything better than everybody else. I would just say that all the athletes, when you bring anyone in and involve them in the game, if they're good, they're going to be good. In baseball, Ohtani's showing you something that no American baseball player has done. And we can't even say Babe Ruth was doing it because he wasn't doing what everybody was doing. Everybody wasn't allowed to play together. So Ohtani's doing something that nobody ever did.
He wasn't a pitcher when he was hitting.
And he's not from America. He's from Japan. So that trumps everybody right now. So Japan, to me, produced the best player to play the game. I'm just saying. It's just they don't want to, and I love Mike Trout. I think Mike Trout is dope. I like Mookie Betts. There's a whole lot of baseball players I love. And I'm not saying those guys couldn't pitch, but the fact of the matter is he's doing it.
Yeah.
That's it. What can you argue? What can we possibly argue about that to say someone's better than him? Who's that?
Hey, JT. Dominican Republic got baseball for little babies.
They put people out there, but I'm saying they dope too. That's what I'm saying. It's like I think the dopest players could be Ohtani and all the Latin players. Tatis, Ohtani, Vladimir's Guerrero kid, Osuna, who just popped his ACL. Those dudes are all dope.
Yeah.
I mean, ridiculously. I mean, it's crazy. The best closer ever in baseball was Panamanian. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like I look at the Yankees baseball now, and even baseball in general with guys blowing saves. You don't realize how great Mariano Rivera was. It's not because I like the Yankees. No, that dude was the best relief pitcher ever to pick up a baseball.
Yeah, he was dependable. He was dependable.
It's automatic.
You can name his blown saves of his whole career in 20 years. You can name them on one hand.
And I think it's probably at the very end, right?
Huh?
It was like at the very end.
No, he had some gaffes through his career, but they were all memorable. Like I said, I could name them. Sandy Alomar hit a home run against them in
Cleveland series. Yeah,
his first year as a closer. Then he got caught by the Arizona Diamondbacks in Game 7, but that's only because the infield was in. You know, the Red Sox might have got him once in their career. You know, on a walk-off home run, but Mariano don't get beat.
Yeah. I think I remember him getting beat in them. I think in the Boston, the later Boston series towards the end of his career.
Yeah,
and so like was like went extra, and yeah.
We know Dave Roberts stole a base on him and everything like that, and Big Poppy came through, but overall, you know, we don't have a lot of history with him losing games, and I saw Aroldis Chapman and the Yankees lose about 5. From the bullpen in the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
So
what's going on with the Yankees, man? What's really good?
They're like 3 games over 500, but they're 8 games behind Boston. So I mean, they're chasing them, and they were supposed to kick off the start of the second half of the season, but the game tonight was canceled because of COVID. So I mean, 3 of their players tested positive. So
3 Yankees.
Yeah.
Yo, see, it's crazy because everybody's not everybody, but so many people in denial, man. In denial, and it's just heating back up. People aren't paying attention. You know, like you said, they're in denial. It's like, you know, you gotta be careful, bro.
What about the little baby tattoo that Altuve had on his shoulder that he claimed had to be covered up because his wife didn't want him to show the tattoo?
Yeah.
And then they rip his shirt off because he beat the Yankees again. And it's this little tiny little Tweety bird, whatever it is. I don't know what it was, but it was real small. I thought it was good showmanship that they got Judge and Sanchez back. You know, that was kind of hot that they returned the favor. Hakeem, I don't know if you know the backdrop, but you know, the Houston Astros they beat the Yankees in a playoff game, 2019. Jose Altuve hit a
got caught cheating, right?
He hit a walk-off home run against Aroldis Chapman. Chapman threw 100-mile-an-hour fastballs, and he was sitting on a slider. And the rumor was that he had a buzzer, right? So when he runs around the bases, you know, you win a game, you cheering, and in the motion of the game, they rip your shirt off. You know, it's the playoffs, so they just beat the Yankees, and that's the series is over, right? So he stops them from ripping his shirt off. Says no, and holds it like this, goes in the dugout, changes his shirt, and comes back out for the interview. And people were saying, well, who does that? Because you usually get your playoff hat and your shirt and you throw it over your jersey.
Right.
He said that his wife didn't like him to take his shirt off because he has a new tattoo and he don't want nobody to see it. So the Yankees, fast forward this year, beat him twice, and when they were running around the bases on home runs, they did like this with their shirt. And as they were running around the bases, they did like that. So they interviewed the Yankees, and it was cold in the it was cold in there. That's why they were chilly when they were walking around. So fast forward to Sunday, the Yankees had a 6-run lead, and they gave up 6 runs in the bottom of the 9th inning, and Altuve hit the walk-off home run. And when he got around the bases, they ripped his shirt off completely and showed everything. Like I don't have the buzzer on, and the tattoo was like that big. It was like
this exposed his line. This exposed him. That's all.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
You know it was a line.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
It proved the point that he probably did have a buzzer on. You know, but it just made it for good theater, and you know, the two teams hate each other. Just put it that way.
All right, so let me hop over to another sport. What's up with your man Conor McGregor and the broken foot? Did y'all see that?
Nah, I missed it.
Oh,
yeah, I saw it. But I hear now he's claiming that they knew he had a broken foot at the start of the match. He said he had a stress fracture that Dana White knew about before the.
So why he go in there? Yo, Wes, his foot broke off, like it was like above the ankle.
Wow.
So when it broke off, it's almost like he was standing on the side of his foot above the ankle because the foot was dragging. Brutal. And then he just sat there and had interviews and talked smack for a minute.
That's crazy.
That's crazy, man. That is crazy. And this the UFC, the UFC, the MMA, all that ultimate fighting stuff is like crazy right now. Like the pugilism, the fighting sports, it's like a whole nother level than when we grew up. Like it was just boxing,
Yeah, we just fought boxed, and
like now it's like death matches on TV, live and direct.
Yeah, it's like my man from Friday said, Witherspoon said, you fight with these, you live to see another day. So.
Oh man. So yeah. Let me see what we got from the building. So yeah, brothers, it's
about that time.
It's almost 10. It's like damn, almost 3 hours.
Yeah,
marathon today. But it was a great show. Thanks to Brandin Knight for sliding through.
Yes, sir.
Sit with IZM Sports and kicking it with us. That was very dope. Mm-hmm. And we're gonna have more. Now, amateur athletes we talked about earlier. Next week we're gonna have Mujahid Ben Wahad, who's one of the top defensive backs in the nation on the high school level. He's gonna come in and we're gonna kick it with him and find out what he's about. And yeah, it's gonna be dope. He's out of Georgia, by the way. I forget what the name of his school is, but yeah, we're gonna get all that and do it big, and it's gonna be dope. So yeah, as we got lined up, and hopefully Brev and Brandon will be on next week too, so we can talk about the NBA. And
absolutely,
the finals will be over,
and their rivalry.
Yeah.
All right, y'all, we out.
All right, yo.
Salute.
Peace out.